Are we live? Hello, Patriots. How are we doing? I'm just gonna be eating some ravioli. We have 15 minutes to get started. Thank you to Chris for the $5 donation. That means a lot. Urban planning related questions in California. That's interesting. I'm going to be reading the book Abundance next, so we'll see. That might come up. I'm going to keep my camera on as we prep for the debate in 10 minutes, but happy to chat. The topic for tonight is what about the Epstein files? That's it. It's just going to be a mess. It's just going to be random partisan arguing back and forth, but that's okay. I think we can roll with that. On the liberal side, so presumably I'm supposed to say, like, yeah, what about the Epstein files? But I really just want to, like, roast the conservatives. Because they don't seem to care, and I think that's so offensive to, like, their own voter base. They're supposed to care. Right? Aren't they supposed to care? Is this their whole thing? I don't know. So, we'll see. I'm curious where they'll take it. May try to both sides it, in which case we'll be like, yeah, both, sure, whatever. Like, we're not going up against that. Because not all people are created equal. And the liberals just seem to have stronger values than conservatives on a lot of things. I'm not sure why that is. Might be like education. Cool, I'm too quiet. All right. Thanks for letting me know. I will work on that. First of all, does this help? Am I louder now, or is it the same? It's okay if it's the same. We'll just throw a gain filter on there. No problem. How is that? Is that better? Hello? Test? Happy to tweak it. Cool. Is that so? I know that's better. Is that good enough, or do you want me to go louder or quieter? Cool. Thanks for letting me know. That's why we start early. We're getting better. The setup's better. do like a vintage filter on my camera here. We're not going to have windows open. It's just going to be the Discord stream. So it will be way less taxing on my resources and prevent the odds of a crash. And I've put a bunch of gates and filters on my audio, so it should limit how much my mic is picking up of background noise and stuff. Hopefully this helps. I'm very excited to see conservatives do mental gymnastics to pretend like the Epstein files were not something they overwhelmingly voted for and are now coping and backpedaling because they figured out what the rest of us always knew. It bothers me that people can be so unpatriotic. Like they can support so much corruption. Like it's such a parasocial fixation on one streamer. This is like basically like a persona, like the Charlie Kirk thing, Donald Trump. Like there's like it's like media internet culture. That's all this crowd of. What the alt right is, getting presidents to talk like YouTubers, and people are willing to lay down their lives for that, and they don't care about the lives of children. So yeah, we're gonna hold their feet to the fire a little bit. But it's a hard topic. There's not as much to clearly say because conservatives brought up this topic, you know? Yeah, Epstein files were sealed, right? Hmm. Let's see. Did the Democrats do anything about the Epstein files? I mean, yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell. That was a Biden era investigation. Under Trump, Epstein supposedly offed himself. It wasn't Acosta who gave Epstein the first sweetheart deal in 2008, 2009. Like Trump rewarded him with an administration position. Wretched behavior. I'm tired of the corruption. Like politics is supposed to be just helping people, doing what makes sense, doing what's kind. Hmm. Uh, yeah, I'm excited. About 5 minutes, we can hop into the chat.
Anything from you?
I've been pulled into the voice call, but I just deafened myself in there. I don't want to talk to them beforehand, really. It's meant to be kind of private, so I don't want to be there on stream. So we will see. Wish me luck, chat. Is there anything you want me to bring up or talk about? Or not talk about? I don't know how this is gonna go. This is gonna be a mess. Incredible. So in 2007, Acosta signed off on a plea deal, a sweetheart deal, entered in 2008. So that was under Bush administration. Of course. Sorry, I'm real nervous. I just want to find a blackboard. I don't know. It was a gift, but presumably ordered from online. Love a good blackboard. Love a good blackboard. This is gonna be a shit show. I don't normally get nervous, but this is it's too vague, right? It's like it's too nothing. There's no way to predict it. There's not a lot of information to go off of anyways. So like I don't know how this is supposed to work. No one has any idea. Some of these people are pretty experienced with this, so we'll see. I don't know like what talking points they have cooked up.
Oh,
Hello.
what's good?
Whoa.
Hello, hello, hello. For our
Oh,
panelists tonight and for the people who are watching, this is our fifth show in this series. Tonight, we have probably what I consider to be the highest skill panel that I've hosted so far. Some of you are familiar with the debate scene, so I'm going to expect that you all know how to be able to make space for yourself to speak, and will only try to cut in when rules are broken or to ask pressing questions to the panel, but you can always DM me if you would like me to cut it in for you. I'm tentatively planning for this panel to run for about 2 hours or until the conversation has resolved, whichever is first. And again, I have a new official website where you can support my work. Please visit RileyGraceRochong.com to check out cool merch and to consider making a generous donation. With that, here are the rules for tonight. Number 1, if I'm talking, stop talking. I don't want to participate, so if I get involved, it's either to stimulate conversation or to get things back on track. Number 2, at least be respectful of me. Y'all can hang on each other. I expect that there's going to be a lot of I don't know what to expect actually. But I'm putting in a lot of work to make this happen, so don't make my life harder than necessary. And number 3, stay on topic. Related tangents are fine, but don't dig up unrelated personal trauma and try not to box below the belt. With that, that's it. Let's go around and have our panelists briefly introduce themselves. And I'm going to go in the order of largest combined YouTube and TikTok followings to smallest. So, Andrew Wilson, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Andrew Wilson. I'm the host of The Crucible. I'm a political analyst, a political satirist, and I engage in debates of all kinds all around the world. I appreciate being on the panel tonight with all of you, except for
Great.
Dylan, except for Down syndrome Burns. But everybody else is awesome, and I'm glad to see all of you here.
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Up next, you know what? That's a great segue. Dylan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Down syndrome Burns.
I'm a war journalist and political streamer. I stream Monday through Fridays, and I cover the war in Ukraine on the ground, embedded with the Ukrainian armed forces, film documentaries, stuff like
Sorry,
that.
Chad, I'm
Release them on
looking
YouTube, free charge.
Cool. Thank you so much. Up next, we got the Misfit Patriot. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, the Misfit Patriot. I do the TMP Uncensored podcast on Rumble. I have a YouTube. I don't really use it, but you can find me on X and Instagram. I do debates sometimes, but mostly I just talk shit on Twitter, and that's about it. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for being here. Up next, we've got She's Right. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm She's Right. You can support me at she'srightshow.com. And I'm a concerned American.
Cool. Up next, we've got Andrew JD. Would you like to introduce yourself?
What's going on? Name's Andrew. I'm taking the position that none of this matters.
Cool. Thanks. And we'll be able to go, like the people who reach out to me to ask for openings, y'all will have an opportunity to do so.
True.
Up next, we've got Unreasonable Man. Would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, you're muted. Do you got it?
I got it.
Cool. All
Thanks.
right, go ahead.
Let me now. All right, cool. Yeah, for some reason it changed my mic when I came in. No worries. I'm Grid One Motorsports. I do a podcast 4 or 5 times a week. Like to do cool stuff on the internet and talk about interesting things. That's about it, I guess.
Cool. Thank you. Up next, we've got Logix. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Logix. Do a lot of social commentary, politics a little bit, and debunking on YouTube.
Cool. Thank you. And then lastly, we have Confluence. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Confluence 358 on YouTube. I make a lot of political commentary videos and a lot of reaction stuff to the Whatever podcast. And yeah, you can find me there. I'm center right most of the time, but here I'm a centrist.
Thank you so much for joining us. All right. And with that, I will go. With that, the topic for today is, what about the Epstein files? I'm leaving it intentionally open-ended because there are so many ways I expect that people are interested in taking this. How important are the files? Why have they not been discussed less, or why have they not been discussed as much lately? What do we make of what we know at this point? Tonight we can discuss all of this and more. So per my request in the Discord, I'm going to begin with the people who reached out to me beforehand to request opening statements, and then I'll ask if anyone else would like to make one before we launch into the main discussion. So Andrew JD, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. My position on the Epstein files is that nobody really cares. Everyone loves to pretend that they do. Whatever side gets the opportunity to wield anything related to the Epstein files in a way that could damage the other side, they will take that opportunity to do so. And when they do not have an opportunity to either defend or attack, they will ignore it like it doesn't exist, because none of us really care. Nobody really cares. There's probably nothing in there that's ultra damaging to Trump. Maybe he will get a little red in the cheeks from whatever is contained within. If there was anything criminal, he'd be in jail, or at least he would have been charged already. And if there was anything, my guess would be if there was anything like political career ending, that would have gotten leaked already. So my overall position is that this is a waste and there's real issues to talk about.
All right, thank you so much. Up next, we've got She's Right Show. Would you like to make an opening?
Not really. I mean, I just kind of think that leaders should have integrity and do what they say. And I think it's pretty concerning to see a whole political party backflip. And I think that raises a lot of good concerns about potential corruption and dishonesty in our system.
All right. And lastly, for the people who reached out to me, we have Confluence. Would you like to make an opening statement?
Yeah, mine's about 2 minutes, so if it gets like boring, just feel free to cut me off, okay?
You're all good. 2 minutes
But-
should be fine. Like usually around 5 minutes is like my hard cap. So yeah,
Okay.
that should be fine.
Perfect. Okay. Everything around Jeffrey Epstein, both his life and his death, should be heavily scrutinized, and all of us on all sides should be asking more questions about the Epstein files and what they contain. None of it makes sense, including his life, his death, and what we've been told about the files. Despite being born to middle-class parents, a teacher's assistant, and a gardener, his life was a repeated pattern of failing upwards. From dropping out of college and landing a job as a teacher at Dalton, a prestigious school for the children of the elite, for which he was fired, to then getting hired at an investment firm, dodging an SEC allegation of insider trading, getting fired again with no prosecution, then joining a debt collection company, Towers Financial, whose sole purpose was seemingly to vampirize other companies, which ended up being implicated in one of the largest Ponzi schemes in US history, to which Epstein's partner received 25 years in jail, and Epstein received, you guessed it, nothing, to then magically opening his own investment firm where he wouldn't accept clients whose net worth was below $1 billion, and somehow becoming a jet-setting socialite that rubbed elbows with the world's elites, including billionaires, tech geeks, royalty, Saudi princes, celebrities, prime ministers, you name it. He did heinous things. I'm sure I don't need to repeat them. He dodged prosecutions magically, serving a paltry 13 months in jail thanks to a sweetheart deal from Alex Acosta, during which he was allowed out of jail 12 hours a day, 6 days a week,
True.
before finally being later brought down when the political pressure became insurmountable. His death is just as mysterious, with missing footage, failing cameras, broken protocol, falsified guard logs, and inconsistent reporting. So the man that is Jeffrey Epstein is a true enigma, and remember, those never age, and clearly something is suspicious with every element of his life. I see myself as being in the center on this because I think everyone is likely involved, both the left and the right, with covering up the Epstein files. Trump's administration has repeatedly switched their stories from promising to release the client list to having the client list on Pam Bondi's desk, to then the client list having never actually existed in the first place, to then it being a Democrat hoax, to then Trump being an FBI informant, to then, oh wait, just kidding about that last part. None of it adds up, none of it makes sense, and I think everyone is hiding something and
Yeah,
blames the
since it's
other
becoming
side when it's
okay.
convenient for themselves politically. The death of Charlie Kirk has, perhaps conveniently so, moved the conversation away from Epstein, but I suppose that's why we're here having this panel, because we're not being given answers and everyone is to blame.
Great, thank you. That is everyone who reached out to me beforehand. Now, before we move into the main discussion, does anyone else like really pressingly want to make an opening statement? Otherwise, I'll turn it over to y'all. Not seeing any hands. All right, then the floor is open. Anyone can take it anywhere they'd like to. I have my own questions, but that's just in case, the conversation is dried up or y'all need some direction where you want to take it.
Yeah, I'll start. So I kind of agree with pretty much what Andrew JD said, where it's being weaponized on both sides, and it really doesn't matter that much anymore. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested in 2006 under George Bush. He was arrested in 2019 under Donald Trump. 2 Republican administrations have
Fucking
arrested him,
ridiculous.
and 0 Democrats. So there was 3 administrations prior to Trump, and now Trump's getting blamed for everything regarding
true.
Jeffrey Epstein, when we know
This
that
is
there
so fucking
was
skewed.
what now almost 20 years where anything that was in the files that was of pertinent information probably was deleted or is no longer available. So what about the Epstein files? My question is always the same. What Epstein files? I don't think they exist. So everyone's asking for something that Donald Trump can't produce and blaming him for 3 prior administrations that might have had plenty of time with, in conjunction with, all the nefarious actors that might even be related to the Jeffrey Epstein files, deleting shit as they go. But essentially, after this long, give it the fuck up, because while we all want to see the Epstein files, that's like saying I want to see Santa Claus. It's not real. It doesn't exist. It's gone. Bye.
So
Yeah,
what's
I
your
can
spin?
agree it's a Wizard of Oz sort of thing, right? Like none of this actually. I agree with Andrew JD. I disagree with Confluence. While as a constitutional conservative, my stance has always be, hey, absolute transparency. The people have a right to know. It all should be released with just redactions to protect actual victims and not political or financial wizards that we don't care about. The reality is I don't think there ever was any files. I don't think, and we know that because the FBI said we don't have any files. We're gathering information now. They never said that they had a stack full of files back in 2019 and 2020. They never said that. They just said, yeah, we're investigating. And then we go into Biden, and Biden could have released anything he wanted to release, right? And to believe, and I'll agree with Andrew JD again. If they had anything on Trump, you can be guaranteed they would have released it. They would have ended that man's career if they could have, and they didn't. So there's nothing there. You absolutely know. I mean, this is just what happens is anytime somebody starts looking too closely at tariffs, anytime somebody starts looking too closely at the new prison systems that they're selling off, or anything that nobody wants you to look at, they trot out Epstein's ghost and put it on parade, so that both sides take the bait. Now you have Democrats clamoring to release this data, and nobody cares because it doesn't matter.
So why do you think it was? Why do you think it was promised to us? Like, you guys are saying there's no client list. Why did JD Vance say release the list? Why did
promises are like water? They dry up.
Right, but then I
Bondi-
guess we can't complain when Trump can't complain when people are still talking about Epstein when all of his administration said that they would release the client list. They had the client list and they keep changing their story every like 5 minutes. Like then of course people are going to be like, well, you said there was more files. Are you going to release them? Then they release the footage, and the footage has been edited in Adobe Premiere and has like a minute cut out of it. Is not what Kash Patel promised. Like these are the issue is just under delivered promises, right? Like, so I guess what's the take on like why are they doing that? Why not just say we didn't have them in the first place?
I guess
They've
that's
been
where
extremely performative. I mean, the Pam Bondi binder scandal was pretty embarrassing to get all these social influencers, and for everybody who participated in it directly, especially to go out there to hold up these binders to give that shit-eating grin like you're participating in history, and it had nothing of relevance in it. And that's why afterwards they said, well, we have to make all these legal requests. We have to, subpoena the grand jury testimony, not all the testimony, but the grand jury testimony. I have the files on my desk. Never mind. Well, I might have them on my desk, but I'm not going to release them. And they just ran in circles after making these big declarative statements. It's the party or the administration, more the people around Trump than Trump himself, set up the rake to stomp on it themselves. It's mostly a crisis of their own creation.
That's
I
I
agree
guess
with you
that's
there,
where
and
that's where I come in with this. I'm kind of in between because I feel like this is all something that Trump and his administration created, and now they got the shit on their face for not producing what they promised. I don't think whatever Trump's name is in these files, I don't think it's anything incriminating. I think he just had probably business ventures with Epstein, and they were friends, so he visited and whatnot. I don't think Trump has necessarily done anything criminal, at least nothing in the files that exist have been. And Kash Patel, Bondi, all of them was just talking out of their ass until they got in office and realized, oh shit, it's really nothing to see. But I'm just reveling in the fact that the right is tripping all over themselves to either want to see it or not see it. That's where I'm at with it.
Well, most people on the right have called out Bondi, myself included. A lot of people have acknowledged that they have fucked this up. But here's what happened, okay? A bunch of people started screaming, release the Epstein files, putting pressure on Pam Bondi to release something that didn't exist. Then she said that she was going to release something that didn't exist. And then when she couldn't deliver something that didn't exist, everybody said, why did you promise a thing that didn't exist? Because she fucked up. And look, I'm not...
No, she fucked up doesn't explain why. Why?
Because everyone was pressuring her to release something that she did not have.
So why did she lie?
They all fucked up. They all said that they would release more than they did.
But
Like,
were you listening earlier? There were 3 prior administrations that this
Yeah.
could have been released.
Which one gave him the sweetheart deal?
What? Bush?
Yep.
Yeah, Bush. Fuck Bush. All right.
Yeah,
I don't know what that's.
Well, why did Trump then give Acosta a job?
The conclusion here not just be that Pam Bondi is fucking terrible at her job and she just shouldn't be in that position. Can that?
Well, I mean,
Who put her in that job?
I mean, for all you,
That's
for all
one
you
company.
know,
I would agree with you. It's Trump's fault, but like I think the conclusion is like, okay, Pam, you fucking suck at this, and you're gone. Sorry.
Well, she should be fired.
I want her fired.
I mean,
But-
yeah.
But it could just
It's
be
not
as
just
easy
her,
as
it's
saying,
JD
the
Vance,
FBI
too.
Say we've got this
Kash
file
Patel.
and we're holding it. Nobody can see it. So then they get in there and they say, "Okay, bring me the file." Well, yeah, we'll bring it to you. But they never do because it doesn't exist. It was all just smoke
Well,
and
I
mirrors
mean-
the whole time.
If it was just Pam Bondi, maybe. It wasn't just Pam Bondi, though. Kash Patel went on the Joe Rogan podcast, most popular podcast in the United States, and he said not only would they release the evidence of the footage of the security cam video, which wasn't outside of his cell, by the way, was on a wall completely the opposite side. So he's already not delivering what he promised. Those cameras were not working. Then after
You mean
promising
Patel
the
or
raw footage, he
Bongino?
delivers the footage. It is not raw. It was edited in Adobe Premiere, and it didn't have all of it. There was time missing, about a minute that they said had to do with the system cutting out a minute at the end of every day. But he under-delivered what he
Was that
promised.
chat
And then Dan Bonagino, I believe his name is pronounced,
Bongino.
the deputy under him, he did like a protest, it was like a student walkout. He went home. He wouldn't come to work for a week.
yeah, and Theo Vaughn had a podcast with JD Vance where JD Vance said he'd release it. And then Donald Trump himself was on Lex Friedman and when asked said he would release it. So we have everybody saying that this client list exists. So like, why is everyone making stuff
you
up?
don't have them saying it. That's
Yeah, they said they should be released. There's separation of powers. They don't have they're leaving it up to the judiciary to do the judiciary's job. That's the executive. They don't. That's
right.
what separation
You
of powers
keep
is for.
saying this like they had it and then they just decided not to have it. It's like if Misfit Patriot tells me,
They said they have
"Hey
it.
man, I've got the dirt on your boy over there," and I say, "Okay, cool, give it to me," and he says, "Yeah, I'll get it to you." 3 weeks later, I say, "Hey man, I really got to have this. I got to have it." Yeah, I'll get it to you. So then I go over there, and he says, "Look, man, I never had anything. Or actually, I had something, but I got 2 sheets of paper that just says bullshit." And I go, "Dude, you just fucked me. Like now I promised all these people this stuff, and it doesn't exist, and now you fucked me."
So who
So
did
why
the
is Trump
original?
rewarding the
Who did
liars
the
with
original
jobs?
fucking though?
Yeah.
I guess
Nobody. We were relying on the FBI to say what they had. They never disclosed anything. Now the real questions are, did they really have terabytes of data
It's
from
important to remember
the video cameras inside
they-
the compound? I don't think
they
they
did-
did. I don't think they ever had any of that. I think
They
that never
did
Why-
release.
They're
Why
writing
wouldn't
their
they
fan
have
fiction.
that?
Holy shit.
they had like there was like
I don't think it
600
ever
cameras
existed.
all over Epstein's property and like
Sure.
3 of his
I don't think they
properties
were recording a damn
in
thing.
in private residences, like in private bedrooms. They were all over. None of those cameras. So
Hey,
we
maybe
trust
it
the
was
FBI now that
maybe
they
it was
didn't find
deleted.
anything, but we trust them that they found like 300 gigabytes or whatever it was of like
Hold on,
camera footage.
First of all, they did release files, right? They didn't release files that you like, but they released files. I think there was like 80,000 pages of documents.
Yeah,
and
but it
they-
was nothing that the
Hold on,
public
hold
didn't
on,
already know.
Hold on. And who's to say that all the information that you're talking about that did exist at one point wasn't deleted under the Biden administration?
We would
Right,
know
you can't-
if they released the files.
Why wouldn't
well,
they clearly say that?
Like, why are they hiding from that then?
Well, because they can't prove who deleted something because the thing is not there. So they're just saying it's been deleted.
Is that
We don't
is
know who
this
deleted
is that what this whole panel is? Is it just bitching about the way in which this information has been released by the Trump administration, or did you guys have actual
Feels like it.
criticism? Or did you have actual criticisms or accusations to make against the Trump administration?
Do you not think that
they're covering-
incompetence is
that they're
concerning?
hang on.
That
let
lies
me ask the
matter?
question. Shut up, lady, while I ask the question. So the question's really simple. Are you making an accusation that Trump is somehow nefariously tied up with Epstein? Are you making an accusation that there's a cover up afoot? Why don't you just say what you mean so we can get to the heart of it, and so I don't have to listen to an Epstein Yelp review, and we can have an actual debate here?
All right, Andrew's being dangerously based. I don't like it. All right, my accusation would be that I hit it in my opening. My accusation would be Trump is probably embarrassed by the fact that he was friends with a criminal. That's what's in the files. It's gonna be like these dudes were pretty decently close friends, and he is definitely
Until he
sex
banned him from
trafficker.
all of the properties, right? Until he banned him of
Still.
all the Mar-a-Lago properties, and then on
Would
top
you-
of
would you
that,
still- would you still say it's not an
then
embarrassment when that comes out?
I don't
like, they
think
were
so.
friends for years?
I think, like for instance, Chuck Schumer had introduced a bill which was trying to get the Epstein files released, but he attached it to a defense bill. And Chuck Schumer was heavily donated to by Epstein himself. They knew that the Republicans were going to block that because they attached it to another bill, right? This was all partisan politics and game playing. None of them had any intention whatsoever of actually releasing any of this. So the question here, really, for me, is what are you exactly accusing Trump of doing, or Trump's administration of doing? Because if all you're saying is they waffled on how to release this stuff, fine, I'll concede that point. The right has heavily criticized him for doing that, but do you have something more, or is it just like the last 17 weeks of everybody bitching about Epstein without actually making any sort of accusations about anything?
Well, there's plenty of accusations. I just don't know if any of us believe any of them.
Well, then, it's just not going to go.
I don't know if we got anyone on here that is deep in the conspiracies.
I'm curious, actually. Like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, but what do you think about the Wall Street Journal, the Enigmas Never Age, that whole thing? I mean, Trump is obviously suing them, but it seems ballsy and just nonsensical if the Wall Street Journal doesn't know the provenance of that and is just running with that. So to me,
oh yeah,
no,
right. Give me a break.
talking about
Do you know how many times these major media outlets have had to retract stories later on about
this is,
That
this
one's
would
not
be
been
like a
retracted.
huge
about Trump's
defamatory
story? Yeah, but they do it all the time, man. They do
Okay,
it
but not this
all
one.
the time.
Are you talking about
Why not
the
this one
letter?
then?
Yeah,
Are you talking about
the doodle.
Oh, can
But
I ask
until
you a
that
question?
happens, I mean, we can say that about anything. Like, oh, you know,
Look.
it might get retracted. What about the fact that it looks pretty credible at this moment?
This one
in
wasn't
time?
retracted.
Doesn't
Hold
look.
on. No, but it does
Hang
look
on.
credible.
Does it
It
look?
looks credible.
Does it look credible, or are you just a fucking Democrat and you want it to be true? Like, which thing do you think is more likely?
Why
from
do you
my
think it's not
position,
credible?
That suddenly we're
I
going to
can
start
say
believing
same
the Wall
thing to
Street
you,
Journal?
or are you not a Democrat, so you think it's fake?
Without having, well, what's the actual evidence here? Can you show me what the actual evidence is that they're presenting?
That it came from his birthday book?
Oh,
And
right.
that is his
right.
It
signature.
came
What
from
are you
the
talking about?
Epstein's
Trump,
estate. didn't
Trump
it?
says, nope, not my
This I
signature.
knew.
JD Vance comes
Is
out
that
and
really
says,
your argument?
hey,
He says it's not mine.
shh.
You just
Let me
take his
make my
word for it?
argument. Let me make the argument, and then you'll know my argument. So the argument's simple, right? Trump says, nope, not my signature. JD Vance comes out, says the whole thing is a hoax. The burden's on who? You. You know who doesn't have the burden to prove themselves innocent? Trump. You guys have to show a satisfying amount beyond a reasonable doubt that this is the case for the public to believe it, because right now they don't. The reason that they don't is because of all the misinformation that fucking Democrats have put out about Trump before. And the fact that we know Democrats don't give a shit about this. We know that with that Willie Jefferson Clinton was out on Epstein Island all the time. He went at least 4 times, recorded, right? No, Democrats don't care about that.
told
They
you
don't care
that?
about their own administration.
You
What
swear
What do you
care
mean?
about
It's,
Bill Clinton.
that's
Who
in the
told you that?
that's in the official
Bill-
released files.
No,
The
Bill Clinton.
Democrats-
What do you
no,
think that
Bill
when people
Clinton
almost
was
done.
on the
Almost done,
island.
bro. Almost done. 1
Keep
second.
going.
Democrats don't give, and you'll get plenty of time to respond. Plenty of time to respond. Calm the fuck down. So look, Democrats don't care. They don't care.
circle
They're not
jerk.
they're not looking at this in a credible way to try to clean their own house either. You're just trying to hurt Trump with it. You don't actually care about it.
Okay, so there was an actual letter. Hold on. There was an actual letter from Bill Clinton in that little birthday book thing too, right? And it was a handwritten letter. My question to everybody who believes that that was a real letter from Donald Trump, did you actually look at it? It says voiceover at the top of it, right? It is a voiceover it's a transcript that doesn't make any sense. It sounds ridiculous. And then somebody outlined the silhouette of a woman, and then they put Donald Trump's signature at the bottom of it. So
They? Who's they?
Andrew, you're muted.
is they?
Whoever
The
whoever
fakest
released
thing
it.
ever.
Andrew
So,
talks to his own
Wait,
chat
so
sometimes.
wait, I'm trying to understand how they get it out his birthday book and then they present it as the evidence, and Andrew's like, "Where's the evidence?" I've never heard of such bullshit.
No. That's
Just
not what
'cause
I
you
said.
don't believe
Validity
it.
of
You
Yeah,
don't
no,
believe it.
nope.
So
I'm gonna give
therefore
you.
it's not
Insane.
credible.
I'm going to give you the counter here. The counter is this, that when you make an accusation, if you say, Andrew signed my birthday card, and I say, that guy's a fucking liar, I didn't sign it, and that's not my signature, you then need to prove that it is, fuckhead. I don't have to go and prove that I didn't do anything. You got to prove that I did. So prove it.
What burden of
Andrew,
proof would that be? What does that look like?
Andrew, I want to
Outside
know.
of
You
his
hear what I just
signature
said?
being a
Prove it.
damn near
Prove
What is the proof?
Prove
What would
it's
prove
his
it to you?
signature and he
What is
actually
enough proof
signed
for
it.
you?
Beyond those signatures being damn near identical.
You could have eyewitnesses who were there, who saw it. You could have multiple corroborating evidences,
Eyewitnesses,
which
oh
would
my
prove
God, to
that
sign
Trump
a
You
letter.
could have
was
something other
false.
than a transcript.
code.
You could do
could
all
have a-
sorts of
This,
things.
imagine
have
this
a
barrier
fake as shit.
standard for everything.
It'd
You
be one
have
of
to
the
have
good
an
times. I know,
eyewitness.
imagine having
evidence for actual
Imagine
evidentiary
everything has to
claims.
have
A few good examples of
eyewitness
Trump's
to
doing,
be
'cause now it
credible.
will
Get
be
the
brought
fuck
before a
outta
court of
here.
law, and so we will get to see this information come out through the legal process
Yeah.
and see exactly what led the New York Times to make this conclusion that this was credible enough to release. And so this is something where we can all literally just wait and see. And so it's
Agreed.
also a story that's probably not going to go away.
I'm
Well,
just
I mean-
curious, Andrew. What do you think about like the Woody Allen signature, the Alan Dershowitz, the Bill? Do you think the whole book is a fraud, or is your theory that just the Trump one is a fraud, or are you agnostic on it?
Well, it remains to be seen. You know exactly what's going on with
What a
the birthday book. So here's the thing that's really funny is like you guys all know this. You all cover media. Initial reports on almost everything that the media puts out there are wrong, and we know that they're wrong almost all the time. Which is why we've now gotten into the era of the last 2 years, especially of commentators like all of you. The second a story comes out saying, "Wait, before I give a take." I'm going to wait for a little bit more information to come out, a little bit more clarification to come out, because if I don't, I'm going to get egg on my face. Except for stupid Democrats. Can't help themselves, right? Going to rush
Bro.
head first into the, see, Trump's a pedophile, was on pedophile island with pedophile Epstein. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, shut up. Just wait for the evidence to come out. Or show me the proof. Show me the actual proof other than, well, they just reported that. We have this card here, so therefore it's true. Fuck that.
The problem is,
Andrew, your president just went on TV and said, don't take Tylenol because of whatever. Like, stop talking about Democrats being stupid. This is ridiculous. It
My
has nothing to
president
do
did
with
not
being
go out on
stupid.
TV and say,
It's
stop
enough-
taking
it's
Tylenol
enough-
because whatever. You just made
It's
that
because
shit
there's
up.
enough. It's because it's enough
Please.
evidence to
Dumbass.
where it's very much so probable that he did write the letter. And keep in mind, I'm also somebody that
This
said I
guy's-
don't think
How
Trump
much
did
evidence?
anything necessarily illegal. I just think that his name is in there and he's embarrassed for it to come out for
Okay.
whatever reason. His name
Let's
is
see if we can get
involved
through the
with
facts.
Epstein.
Let's see if
I don't
okay.
necessarily think he's done anything illegal.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't make the claim you did, but let's
I'm
just
just
go through the
saying.
facts. Do you agree with me that Trump said he didn't sign the letter? He didn't sign that. And do you agree that JD Vance came out with a tweet and said that it was a hoax? That is not correct. It's not correct information. Do you agree with both of those facts?
I agree, but that means shit.
Okay, so if you agree with those facts, then what we have is we have contested evidence. One person says that this is the case, the other one doesn't. So now we're looking for the corroborating evidence to prove one false and one not false.
Like
You're
all
like
of
the
his
guy
signatures at
who
the
comes
time?
out and says, "Oh, that chick over there claimed she was raped last night."
No, you goofy.
and then,
no, that is not
and then
the
the guy
same
put him
thing.
in jail, and then we find
All
out
I'm-
later that never
Did I
happened.
say put him in jail?
No, I'm giving
I
you an
said was it looks like
analogy.
it's
Do you know what an
credible.
analogy is? How would you feel
Andrew,
if you didn't eat
stop.
breakfast this
Stop it.
morning?
I'm not
How would you
saying-
feel if you didn't eat
I'm not
breakfast this
saying
morning?
all I said was
No
the
one was
evidence
junior
seems
women,
a
okay?
bit credible. I didn't say put him in jail. I didn't say
Yeah,
what
the
he
evidence
did.
also
And I
seems a
sat here
bit
and
not
told you I-
credible.
But
It's
you, it's like
contested.
you just want to play defense for Trump, and it's pathetic. You're like,
You
oh
just
yeah,
want to play
JD Vance-
offense on
JD
Look,
Vance didn't do
you
it.
wouldn't.
JD
Yeah,
Vance said he
you
didn't
know what?
do it.
I bet you
JD
anything
Vance said he
that
didn't
if I
do
go
it.
back through your content and get your takes on Destiny when it was coming out that he was, doing things with underage kids, I bet your take is let's stop and wait till we got more information. I'll bet anything that was your take. Am I going to find that if we go back through your shit?
I mean, I would-
Am I going to find you saying with
Why do you
Destiny
think I'm
to
saying
slow
Trump
down
didn't
and
do
wait for
anything
more?
illegal?
Let me ask
I'm
the
literally
question.
telling you, I
Let
don't
me
have
ask the
proof of him
question.
doing anything illegal.
Let me ask the
Everyone-
fucking
It's the
question,
same
Spurg.
thing.
Shut up, Spurg. If I go back
It's
through
the
your
same
shit,
thing.
shut up, Spurg. If I go back through
I'm
your shit,
consistent, you
stop
goofy. I'm
talking.
I'm
Stop talking so I can
consistent.
ask
No,
the
you already
question.
said the same shit about if you
Stop-
go
yeah,
back
all
to
you're
the-
doing is
Hold on, I'm
you're
gonna mute.
filibustering.
All right, I'm gonna.
It's the
I'm gonna
same
mute the both of you.
process. It's the
Filibustering.
same thing. You're
All right.
saying the
Filibustering.
same
Muted both of
shit
you.
over and
Still
over, though.
filibustering.
The two
You're
of them are
saying the
muted.
same shit.
I know
You're
they're all
still
muted on your
filibustering.
end, but they are on mine. All right, we're all gonna
not
take a deep
muted.
breath. Oh, they're not muted on your. Okay, it might
Not
just
on
be
our
for me.
end. We can still hear him. No,
Okay.
I was gonna ask Logix. He says
Can I
that
finish
there's-
my exchange? Like, I want to ask
No,
this guy the
unmute
question.
Andrew.
You said the same shit. I said,
No,
yes,
no, I
run
want to
the
ask
same
him the
defense for
question,
Trump that
and
I would run
without
for
him
Destiny.
filibustering. Let me ask him the question without him filibustering.
All right.
Why does
If
this guy
I
want to
go
protect
through
pedophiles so much?
your fucking content,
both
and I'll
muted
do it
now.
right now. I'll have the audience go through it, and we get to your take on what happened with Destiny. Am
I'm
I going to
still
find
talking. I
you
don't know if
saying,
anybody can-
guys, let's take a second
The
and
thing
make
about the birth-
sure that
big
we
book, in
got
my
all
opinion,
the
is that
facts
we
before
already-
we rush
that-
to
that-
judgment?
that's years old. I mean, we've
I've
known
done
about
that.
for a
I've
long
done
time.
that
I
for
don't know
Destiny.
why
I've
it's
done that
coming
for
to-
Andrew Tate. I've done that for Candace Owens. I've done that for Donald Trump.
But you're not going to do it for Trump. Not going to do it for Trump.
You're just
Didn't you fucking hear what he just said?
anybody,
Yeah,
Andrew.
fucking
I
blown
said he's
out,
not
dummy.
guilty
You got
of
blown out,
everything, you
dummy. Just
fucking
sit there.
idiot. You're not making any sense. I literally
Been
said
blown
Trump isn't
out.
guilty of everything. You sound stupid as fuck.
You made your point, Andrew. Andrew, you
Logic.
made your point. I want to get this. Hey, Misfit Patriot, let me just get this reset. Andrew, you made your point. Okay.
I think that one of the. Oh, sorry.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
I'm trying to get this back onto the Epstein files. I have a question I would like to ask the panel about, but Andrew, Confluence, sorry. Is there something that you wanted to ask about?
Yeah, there's just a brief thing, I
dude
guess.
smokes,
Like,
and I
I think
support
one of the
that platform.
problems with Trump is that his running defense makes people suspicious of him. Like with the doodle thing, as an example, I'm not saying this is proof at all to Andrew and others. I'm just saying that when he's
It's
asked
evidence.
about his response was like Prince Andrew's response about how he didn't sweat, where Trump said, well, I don't doodle. And then it comes out that he like does a doodle every year in a charitable way to that organization. So it's like, why say you don't doodle if you doodle every year? Like, it's just the defense is so like, why say that? So it just makes people like me suspicious.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's
I'm gonna,
100% him,
so
but
let me give you an easy counter here. So, for instance, tonight I have my notes up, right? And I'm taking notes, and the audience can see that I'm taking notes and things like that, like I do in most debates. Now, usually the audience can't see me when I'm taking notes. I usually don't put them up in a way that they can see. So if somebody said, I saw your notes on that debate, and I said to them, look, I don't put my notes up during debates, right? So my recollection is like, I almost never do, right? And most people talk when they talk to each other. That's
don't
how
give a
they
fuck what
talk.
this dude
They
does in his
don't
own
use
time.
exact precision with like current event precision with the things that they're discussing, especially when it comes to something as stupid as doodling.
God,
Trump
but he says
probably
one
doesn't.
every year,
Shh.
every single year.
Shh, let me finish the point. If you ask me the
Okay.
question, I'll
Push the
finish the point.
occasion, dude.
Yeah.
So the thing is like, yeah, that's great, right? But this guy probably doesn't actually doodle, and he's probably just like, whatever, who cares? Not even thinking about it in those terms. You though,
Do you have any evidence for that?
the psychotic tinfoil hat person, what they tend to do is they tend to take things that they would give literally excuse anybody else for,
Just for a whole fucking
and
fan
hold
fiction about his
some
motivations. What the
ridiculously
fuck are
high
you talking
standard
about?
for somebody else.
A
when they
ridiculously
say
high
things
standard?
off the cuff.
Like, you need fucking several people
did-
watching someone sign a paper, even though it matches all those other signatures at the same
Can I
time?
finish my exchange?
No, you can't, because you've been lying
I
the whole
can't.
fucking time.
Everyone,
It's kind of like a squirrel.
chill for a second.
Maybe
All right,
closer to
Andrew,
your
hold
mic.
on. Andrew, finish your point.
Yeah, so
She's
anyway,
right.
that,
You
well,
can
that's
follow
my
up.
point. I'm just saying that it seems like people are very uncharitable towards Trump or even towards politicians in general when it comes to their off-the-cuff statements like that, right? He probably isn't a doodler. And yeah, fine. Once a year, he does a doodle in something. He doesn't care. He's not even thinking about it in those
For a
terms, man.
special occasion. For a special occasion too.
Don't you think
not
that
like he
that's
doesn't.
reasonable? Like,
No, I don't. I don't.
Okay.
I think
you
you
don't,
do
of course not.
charitable
I think
doodle.
Hold
No, no,
on,
I like
pause real
Trump.
quick. She's
I like
right.
Trump.
I know she's right. Wanted to say something, so if you want to speak up, then you can go now.
Why are Republicans blocking the bipartisan effort led by Representative Khanna and Representative Massey to release everything?
Because they keep adding other shit into it.
well, yeah. So the first release, my understanding was they added that to a defense authorization.
That's not what I'm
act.
asking about.
Yeah. Can you? I'll give you the timeline. Like
That's not what I'm asking about. No, you know exactly
Okay,
what I'm
what are you
asking
asking
about. Do you
about?
support the bipartisan
Okay.
effort of Ro Khanna and Massey?
Yeah, I think that all the Trump files should be released to the public. Every single one of them, regardless of what they say. Most
Okay.
Republicans, by and large, agree with me. Most
Well,
Republican
most
constituency,
most
by and
Republicans
large,
in
agree with
Congress
this.
don't for some reason.
Shh. Actually,
Democrats
what's
do.
happened is, like when it comes to Kash Patel, there was 3 federal judges which said to Kash Patel that there was a prosecutorial deal which was going on, and there could be very good reasons behind the scenes as to why it is that they're not releasing those files because it could compromise
have any evidence of that?
investigations by the DOJ into other things.
Do you have any
Yes,
evidence of that?
I do. Would you like to go through the Kash Patel timeline where he discusses how 3 different federal judges gave injunctions for him doing these releases? You didn't know that?
There's one in
Did
New
you not
York.
know that?
That is
Can you
accurate.
answer my question? Shh. Can you answer my question? Did you know that or not, lady? Yeah, take another drink.
How do
Did you know it or
believe,
not?
How do you believe that evidence? How
Did
do you know
you
this
know
enough?
it or not?
Is that corroborated?
Did you know that?
Did 2 other people see
Can
it?
you answer my question? Can you answer my question? Did you know?
Jesus.
Did you know that there was
Get
federal
fucking here.
injunctions or not? Did you know it or not?
Yeah.
Okay. When did that happen? Do you remember that?
Who cares?
No. You didn't know. You had no fucking idea. You have no idea what you're talking. Just sit
Do you
there.
have a timeline
Just
up right in
sit
front of
there.
you?
Let the adults talk. This is ridiculous. You don't know anything about this case. Nothing. Nothing.
There's a.
So let's keep the
Well, I'm on the side of
personal
releasing
comment-
fucking
let's keep
evidence
the
about
personal
this.
attacks to a minimum.
That's not a personal attack.
Excuses,
Saying they don't know anything
excuses.
about the case. That's
Well,
not
the
a
question-
personal
the-
attack.
The question was why do Republicans
Thank you.
why are Republicans trying to block the Epstein files, and they're not? Like I gave you the answer to that question. Thomas Massey is one of the staunchest supporters of line item things in Congress, and now he's going against his own norms of tying it to different things that he knows. I don't know if you're familiar with the term poison pill, right? Where they just try to throw something in order to get it blocked or to get it voted down so they can come out and say, oh, look, they're trying to block it. He's basically pulling Democrat tactics on Republicans by saying the Republicans, his own party, which he's not even really part of, he's a libertarian, is trying to block the Epstein files. Again, what Andrew said is accurate. There's also there's a federal case in New York where they've already prosecuted it, and some of the information is redacted, and that information, the New York judge is not releasing. That's not Trump. He has no authority over that.
So just to back up what's being said here, federal judges have repeatedly blocked the release of grand jury materials related to the Jeffrey Epstein case, with U.S. District Judge Richard Berman, the most recent, denying the request by the Trump administration in August of 2025. You didn't know any of this. You didn't know that there has been a concerted effort, not just in a bipartisan wing, but just in the grand jury itself, of releasing that testimony as well. They're trying to get these files out, and you don't know what you're talking about.
They chose the grand jury testimony because it's largely like a few dozen pages of not like there's 90% of it's not going to be released by the grand jury testimony. Grand jury testimony can only deal with the suspect in the case and the direct victim. So if you're talking about people who are, let's say, parties or friends or connections to the perpetrator of the crime, it's not going to be covered by grand jury testimony. The vast majority of the testimony was done away from the grand jury in tiny rooms where suspects or people who are informing the government about what's going on is telling them detail after detail after detail. The vast majority of those trove of documents were not confirmed. And you're right about Burnell, but what he said was the government is the logical party to make comprehensive disclosures to the public of the Epstein files. So Berman, the person you referred to, he said it's the government's job to make this decision to release those files.
And there's a bipartisan effort. Hang on. And there's a bipartisan effort going on right now to get these files released. If Democrats and would have ever done any of these on a clean bill, it might have been a completely different
The discharge
situation.
petition is a clean bill.
The discharge position, or I'm sorry,
The discharge petition has nothing to
it.
do with defense spending, has nothing to do with anything besides releasing the files. And that's why Lauren Boebert signed on.
You didn't
That's
know
why
that.
Thomas Massey signed on. And it is one
So-
vote
You didn't know
away
that.
from
wait,
going around
wait,
Mike
wait.
Johnson. Now,
So you mean
no,
there
let me
is a
make it clear.
bipartisan?
Let me
So
make
you
it
mean
clear
there is a
right off the bat.
bipartisan
I wanna make
effort?
sure
You know,
this
just
right off
credit
the
for
bat.
it.
There is something else that could stop them from passing the discharge petition, and that's embarrassing it's embarrassing to the Speaker of the House. To have a discharge petition go around him is to undercut his authority. So I'll grant that there might be other reasons for why people might be nervous to sign on to a discharge petition, including undercutting the president and the Speaker of the House. But there is a clean pathway right now to getting that information out. But it means telling Mike Johnson to fuck off.
Yeah,
Yes,
what
but
information-
again, but hang on. This would just make my point, that there is a bipartisan effort going on to release the Epstein files. And yes, there's all sorts of tangential reasons why this might not be going on, why it is that they're not releasing them. I'm fully for the release of the Epstein files. I'm sure everybody here is fully for the release of the Epstein files. I'm just saying we don't have a clear picture as to all the other mitigating factors which is going on, which is stalling the release. Do I think that we're going to get the release of the Epstein files? I have no idea. I sure hope so.
Why do you think they would only request the grand jury testimony and not the vast majority of the testimony that might actually name someone like Trump?
Because it's possible. So here's the truth. And I'm sure that
He's gonna
Dylan, since you've
once
been a
again bend
war
over backwards
correspondent, you'll
and
probably back some of this up.
make up fan fiction.
The
to
United States
justify shit.
government has been involved in blackmail operations
used
around
by
the world with
Republicans.
various governments for probably 200 years. And one of the tactics that the CIA and the NSA and Mossad and many, many other intelligence groups like to use, besides just them, is blackmail operations, mostly on Western politicians using underage prostitutes. And they blackmail them. Once they have sex with a prostitute, they then reveal, by the way, that was an underage prostitute. Now they have blackmail
Gosh,
on them.
read fucking crime
Now,
thriller
the
novels.
Epstein, the entire Epstein saga is a saga of blackmail. This was a blackmail operation. It was signed on to by multiple governments. And there's
Oh.
probably all sorts of operatives who are in the
He's
field right this
edging right
second who
now.
would be compromised by a lot of the material
He's
which
just-
is in the Epstein
Just
files.
joking it.
That's the actual big boy lens in which to view this. Now, I still, even then, support releasing all the Epstein files, but there could be really good national security reasons why it is that no Democrats done it, why no Republicans done it, even though they've had plenty of time to release many of the facts on the Epstein
Oh,
files.
and
They
that's one
haven't
thing to
done
say
it,
in
none of
chat,
them.
Spencer Shears.
So just pointing that out.
I
What's-
do want
that
to
would be-
let me ask this in 100% good faith. Do we know of any high-ranking, either somebody in the Gang of Eight that has been told or like confirmed this, or like do we have any like evidence to back that up? I know there might be Mossad ties directly between Jeffrey Epstein,
Yeah,
but
it's just a lot
I
of
mean,
fan
like,
fiction.
is there anybody in the top
Well,
position who's come out and like a whistleblower, maybe something of that sort?
Ghislaine
You
Maxwell?
mean as a high-level CIA agent come out and confirmed that a bunch of
I'm just
top
asking
secret
if there's any-
information
if
so
there's
they would go to
anything
prison?
besides
Probably
speculation.
not. No,
Dylan,
there's
here's
listen. There's a lot of evidence that Epstein himself and getting his fortune wouldn't have even been possible without the intervention of multiple governments. This guy came out of the scene out of nowhere. He did not have the sorts of ties you would normally have, nor the pedigree to amass such a fortune. He was a nobody when he was arrested originally for doing what? For doing things he wasn't supposed to be doing sexually with
The
people.
famous
And
financier.
suddenly the guy becomes
Nobody.
extremely wealthy and has all sorts of government connections. Now, what will often happen in these cases is that you get arrested. Once you're arrested, then you're presented with a deal. You start working for us as an informant, et cetera, and then they will give you the sweetheart deal. It's exactly what happened with Epstein. So just the fact that he was in the position he was in, all of that points to having some sort of government backing. The fact that he was bumping elbows with politicians, massive NGOs. And I mean, President Clinton was on his island multiple times. This guy was way, way, way too tied in to not have some type of intelligentsia around. Now, you can say that's not a smoking gun, I guess, but it seems like it's a hard fact to dispute.
Also,
I think it's also really interesting to point out that when after the 2003 case where he, as Andrew said, was doing bad things with young people, after that his methodology changed completely. It is almost like an operation. He would start recruiting these girls when they were 16 and 17. The second they turned 18, they're off to start hobnobbing with very rich people and very powerful officials in various places. It supports exactly what Andrew's talking about. And that's been proven. That's known with beyond a fact by the victims' own, and we can call them victims, but by these people's own testimony. And by the way, they said they never heard Trump's name. They never saw him. They never met him. They had nothing to do with Trump. So
do you think that Prince Andrew, Dylan, was in on Epstein Island banging a chick and that MI6 didn't know about it? You think MI6 didn't know?
I think he was
that Prince Andrew was down there moving and grooving?
Reeves.
Well,
yeah,
I
think that MI6 knew exactly where Prince Andrew was when he was on that island. So that's why I think.
I mean, it's possible. They could also possibly not care. It wouldn't be the first time intelligence agencies have looked past moral degeneracy of an individual.
That's not looking past. It's the fact of the matter is that compromise operations are probably one of the most useful tools against Western governments. You can't do them against Arab governments. You can't do them against Eastern governments because they don't give a shit about age of consent laws. It doesn't bother them. But Western governments do. And so one of the most effective compromising tactics by various
anything is against him.
agencies,
Notice how like even literal paper printed signed evidence
that are
is not
very
even
similar
close to
to
enough.
this, where
But
they're
then his own things, he has his
utilizing
whole
people
fucking
to
hypothetical fan
run
fiction.
underage
And that's enough for him to have
grant
full
all of
faith in
this.
his interpretation.
Let's say I grant all of this.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing.
I would
There's nothing.
and you
It's
said
all
you
conjecture.
agree with the release, but I
It's
just
an
want to see if we
insane-
can,
insane
touch tips here a little bit.
Let's not
is it
never ever say that again, bro.
No, this guy's
Holy
a-
shit.
I'll say it again. But
That's enough to gag a maggot, Dylan. Gag a maggot.
so-
Gag a maggot, Dylan.
Spencer,
Go
are
ahead.
you like? I don't know your
Okay.
deal.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Epstein files should be released, and
Are
if
you
this
lonely,
is the
Spencer?
case that
Yeah.
this is going on, then we should stop trying to do these operations to get people by trafficking children and
Yes,
doing
I'm
that.
kinda
This is
lonely.
something that should be shut down. If it's true, even more reason. I mean, if there is a swamp, which Trump refers to and constantly, the swamp epitomized would be a government child trafficking operation to compromise foreign intelligence assets.
Well,
If
from a
there's
Christian-
anything
yeah.
Trump should hunt down, it's something like that.
Well, and again, this guy is arrested on Trump's watch, right? And so the thing is that
I don't trust
Don't know anything
Trump,
about it.
Trump also signed an executive order specifically going after underage trafficking, by the way, just so you know. It's been a top priority of the administration. That's the whole point of the illegal immigration crackdown. Where does most human trafficking go through, Dylan? The southern border. Most of it goes through the southern border. And you guys are the first ones trying to pump in as many illegals as possible, keep the border unsecure. That's where all the
Let's
human
stop
trafficking
politically
is.
convenient trafficking then. The one that's useful. I think all
politically
trafficking is
convenient
bad,
trafficking,
including
like
the
leaving our
politically
southern
convenient
border
trafficking.
open for a bunch of kids to be trafficked across, Dylan.
I didn't say that I want the
Genius,
southern
genius.
border open. We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
So let's
I'm
keep
talking.
it-
Well, I'm
let's not
tying it
get
all
too
in.
far
I'm
afield.
tying it in so that you understand that this
Nice
is
one.
interrelated. When you're talking about let's shut down human trafficking. Oh, okay, great. You want this
guy's
the big
unhinged.
expose that shows that intelligence agencies do this, even though it's well known, and I can give you the operations which have been declassified over the
It
last
won't
40
stop
years.
until you expose it.
Shh. For the last 40 years, the last 40 fucking years, they've been doing this and declassifying
It's
the evidence of it
actually
even
200.
before that. By the way, let me just point this out. That would shut down a very minuscule amount of human trafficking. You know what would shut down the most amount? Locking down the fucking border. So if you really cared about human trafficking, that's where your focus would be.
Yeah,
Okay, why not both? Why can't we not just we could stop the politically
You-
convenient
all you try to
trafficking,
do
we
is
can stop
block
border
both.
trafficking. I think no child should be trafficked. That's my position.
Yeah,
Like,
okay. Except
you know,
everything
I
that you
think the
do,
middle guy
you
is
guys
unironically a
do
good
is you
faith
like
conservative.
encourage
You
riots
guys.
in California. You do everything possible to pump it
I am not from
many
Cali.
as many illegal immigrants as possible by leaving our southern border completely unsecure. When Texas tried to secure their southern border, the feds came in and tried to
American
shut them
derangement
down.
syndrome.
Bro, this
Remember the
about
topic.
Epstein.
Yeah, we're getting
Well, hang on.
again. I understand you're making examples.
Yeah,
try
You know
to
what?
keep it
Actually, let's talk about
relatively
Benghazi.
I'm
contained.
trying to say if Dylan really cares about human trafficking.
No, I understand what you're trying to say, and I'm saying fine, shut that down too. But if you're on one hand saying I care about trafficking on the border, but on the other hand aren't willing to be transparent
Look,
about our
okay, none
government
of us care
directly
as much about human
participating in
trafficking as the
trafficking,
standard guy,
which
okay?
is the allegation,
Oh, you
then
mean
I
the
think
thing
you're
I said that's
inconsistent, and you only do it when politically
and
viable.
did I say that they need to release the Epstein files? I fully 100%
Yes,
support it.
but that's why I'm putting
and here's the
pressure.
other
I'm
thing
saying
that's
it
really
should be
funny about
released.
this. It's only under Christian ethics, my ethical purview, that's even wrong. From your stupid ass utilitarian position, you don't even have a leg to stand on. From your dumbass position, if it's the
We're not.
case
Hold on,
that they
Andrew.
can compromise,
That's way.
it's
now
not.
we're
It's hang on.
way
It's not.
afield.
It's not.
No,
I'll tie.
it's.
Like, give me a second to tie it in. Give me a second to tie it in. If
Yeah,
it's
I'll
the
give you like
case,
one. All
if
right,
it's
I'll give you like 1
actually
second.
the case that they can compromise an
many
entire
beads does this
nation,
guy
an
have in right now?
adversarial nation with one underage prostitute on the util calculus, Dylan, you should support that.
I
Just
don't want
saying.
any trafficking of children or use of children in that way for any foreign policy purpose.
Not very utilitarian.
By the way,
of you.
why would it be impossible to have it be a
Only
19-year-old just
one
say
guy
they're a
here is
16-year-old, even if you wanted to
doubling
do
over
that?
finding ways
Sometimes
to
they do
excuse
that.
trafficking
That has
children.
been in some of the
It's not
declassified
Dylan.
documents. They have done that.
Wouldn't that be
They've
the
taken-
utilitarian position not to have somebody bang a
It
child?
doesn't actually, hang on, it's not actually as effective. So if you were going to, like, I don't know, blackmail some Western Denmark fucking
I
monarch
can
or
both
something, I
save
don't
my
know.
values and not have them bang children. It's
Yeah,
very
it's-
simple. I do it every day.
But
It
if it's
doesn't hit
just
the
if
same,
it's just a
Dylan. It
question,
doesn't. Oh,
What just happened?
Wait, RGR probably don't know she was muted.
Oh yeah, I'm muted. Sorry. I'm gonna move Andrew back in a second. We're just.
Uh-oh.
He was able to make his point. We got to move on.
Well,
Okay.
I've been trying to get this 1 point in, and it's
Yeah,
quick.
excellent.
But
I'd
Okay.
love to hear you say
Sorry,
it.
Andrew. I just you got your second. You made your
This is-
point. We're gonna move on.
this is just to put a finer point on Dylan's.
wait, hang on. Did you just kick me off the panel?
Well, I removed you for a second because I asked you again. Second rule or first rule: if I'm talking, don't talk. All right. I gave you a
Did you
lot of
say-
leeway.
Hang on, I asked for 1 second. You gave me the 1 second. That was it. You didn't have to kick me off the panel.
Sorry, I was
It's
muted for a
more
second.
than a
I thought
second.
that you were speaking over me. I just wanted
Yeah,
to.
good for her.
We're moving on the topic. All right, you made your point. It's all good. Yeah, I just did that so we can get back on track.
Did you
let's
say
see.
you have questions you wanted to ask?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
just
did.
want- Actually, I just
Oh,
wanted
go
to.
ahead.
I
Oh,
wanted
Want
yeah,
to thank
point out
Riley
that
for
this-
personally saving my reputation.
Yes. No, it was definitely
He's
because of
been
me.
here with
All right,
Mr.
let me
Patriot
ask.
has
Let
to
me ask
say.
this.
He's,
This
like,
is
actually
something
gonna
that
have a
I've been
conversation.
thinking about. We've been talking about a lot of different kinds of evidence throughout this panel. A lot of the conversation has
just
been
kind of
very
a voyeur.
interesting. Something that happened very recently that piqued my interest is that at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, there was Elon Musk sitting with Donald Trump. This is, I believe, one of the first times that they have been seen together since their falling out. During that previous falling out, Elon Musk specifically said that Trump isn't releasing the files because he is not in them, or because he's in them. Do people care about that? Is there any way to ascribe to
No.
that? What are people's thoughts?
I think Elon was really, really ultra mega ass pained, and he would have said anything in that moment to stick it where it hurts.
But
Well, I
again,
think
I
it's
think,
just
I
very
think it was
deserved
true. But
shots.
again, it's just embarrassing for Trump. I just want
But
them
how-
to have
how
to
would
deal
Elon- how
with
would
the fact
Elon
that this
know?
is embarrassing.
Here's my question.
yeah. Why would
right?
Elon have access to that?
Elon wouldn't know, and it's played out.
Yeah,
Like we know his name. We know his name. Sorry, Miss. Hold on. We know his name appears somewhere. He was friends for a bit with him. Like his name's the file. That's such a fucking dipshit statement. He's in the Epstein files. Yeah, obviously. That's such it's such a dipshit played out talking point. Also, like, and Elon was he's pissed. He's gonna say anything he had to say.
Elon had even come out and said that he made a mistake in saying that, but he might have been doing ketamine and tweeting. It's all irrelevant. But even if you wanted to take his tweet and try to give it some validity, how would Elon even know? That's the question you ask. So if you're going to use that type of discernment, then try to steelman the other side's argument, and that's how I
Elon
would
has
do it,
had
right? Elon had no
unprecedented close
idea
access
if
to
Donald Trump.
all
Donald
matters
Trump's
of
in the
government,
Epstein files because he released
and
himself
so
on
data
the
of
flight list.
Americans
He
in the
released
United
his
States
what is
having
it?
minimal
Ivanka's name was
actual
on there too.
formalized
He
job
released
requirements,
his
duties,
own name in
and
the
ethics
Epstein
obligations.
files that have been released. So anybody that thinks
It's
that Donald Trump has
plausible
a problem
Elon
with
could know
That was
something.
really early on.
himself, releasing himself in there out of embarrassment, then that's debunked right there because he's already.
I don't
putting his
know.
own name.
I'm not so
What?
solidly convinced. I mean, Trump did say that Epstein likes his women on the younger side. So if I was to really take a swinging guess, since we're all speculating right now, my guess would be is not that Trump diddled, right? Even though I'm sure that there's a lot of people who want that to be the case for partisan purposes. But hey, the less diddling, the better. That's my position. I think he probably had an idea of who Jeffrey Epstein was, and as a New York socialite, he kept his mouth shut. I mean, we talked about, like, for example, Trump banning Jeffrey Epstein from his properties. He did ban Jeffrey Epstein from his properties, and he's told the story like 3 or 4 times. He said he banned him because he was trying to poach his staff. It didn't have to do anything with his moral improprieties or anything wrong with him there. He partied with the dude. You know, they hung out. Again, he said he liked his women on the younger side. So I think it would probably. So I do think there would, the longer and more detail we have about this. Like, if that letter ended up being true, right now it's inconclusive because Trump says it isn't. The New York Times says it is. The more information that comes up, tying him closer and closer to Epstein, the worse it looks. I mean, the majority of Americans are unsatisfied with the information that's come out. The majority of Republicans are unsatisfied.
Dylan, he said that he kicked him out because he was poaching clients, but there's also corroborated evidence from multiple people that knew the situation that he kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was also hitting on the younger girls that were staffers. Like, the younger girls that worked at Donald Trump's club were staffers, and Donald Trump, on top of him poaching them, he was
very
also
useful omission by you, Dylan. By the way, very useful omission.
I want to add some context, though.
I mean, maybe that's where he got the thing that he likes him on the younger side, but he said that before that. So, I mean, he knew he likes younger women. Maybe just not his younger women.
Oh, my God. Powerful rich men like to fuck younger women. Oh, my God. That's fucking news.
I think 16-year-olds
No. That doesn't mean 16-year-olds, you fucking fuck.
Younger doesn't mean underage.
It doesn't mean that at all. And by the way, big-ass rock stars who are in their 70s are plowing fucking 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Leonardo DiCaprio is plowing a fucking 20-year-old.
Jeffrey Epstein is not a rock star.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Jeffrey Epstein was an
out,
extraordinarily rich man. When Trump is referencing he likes his women a little on the young side. Oh my God, powerful, rich, powerful men like to fuck young, hot women. Oh, what a revelation! What a revelation!
Weird thing to downplay.
Is it true that Donald Trump was or was not an FBI informant?
It's likely true. It's likely true that he's been an FBI informant or an intelligence informant multiple times. It's likely
true. For the Jeffrey Epstein case specifically.
He worked.
We don't know. We don't know if that's true.
What was Mike Johnson talking about when he said that to the press that Caroline Leavitt later retracted? Because
he retracted it too, though.
This is why I want the information out. I can't conclusively say anything about Epstein right now and Trump because we don't have all the information. It's locked away. But if it is true that the Jeffrey, let me finish this quickly and then I'll let you respond. I'm sorry. But if it is true that Donald Trump was an informant on the Epstein case and either Caroline Leavitt's line, maybe Mike Johnson telling the truth, we don't know. But if that is the case, he'd have to have some knowledge that would be of use to the FBI. That's what I want to know. If he was involved in bringing down Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump was more intimately involved in the case than many of us might know currently. So I want that information out there.
Sure, I'll answer your question.
Yeah, but I mean that could compromise. That could compromise certain investigations. That perhaps these informants led to other things. For instance, the information of Trump. It could compromise testimony. Like you don't know. You don't know exactly.
The FBI released a 2-page document saying they wouldn't go after anyone else. That they had no plans of prosecuting anyone else.
I didn't say
it. Dylan's question. I'll answer Dylan's question. Donald Trump worked with the prosecutor for the Jeffrey Epstein victims. The prosecutor was working in conjunction with the FBI. That is where the confusion came from. Donald Trump has also had been deposed by I can't remember if it was the FBI or if it was the arresting department when he was arrested in 2019. Donald Trump gave statements to that effect when he was asked about his relationship. So you have prosecutor in the civil case, and you have working with the arresting officials in 2019. So yes, but that does not mean he's an actual FBI informant. He's just been cooperating.
I remember hearing for years leading up to this big, I guess, kerfluffle. It's now just gotten a lot of attention that Trump was an FBI informant when bringing this up. And I never really gave it much water because I didn't like see anything on. I just heard it kind of spuriously kind of thrown around. Then Mike Johnson said it, who's the Speaker of the House. Maybe he misspoke. Maybe you're right, and he got it out there. But that means so far the messaging, Pam Bondi fucked it up, Kash Patel fucked it up, Dan Bongino fucked it up, Mike Johnson fucked it up. Is there anybody in Donald Trump's immediate circle that knows not to make it look like there's a ton of smoke around him on this issue? Because it doesn't seem any of them can.
This again, we're back to the original. Yeah, we're back to the original stupid, annoying point of, well, they just fumbled the release. It's like that's not an accusation.
When we're
Who gives a
releasing
shit?
information,
Who-
like Kash Patel
who
fumbled
cares?
the release on an active suspect when it
Americans
comes to
care.
somebody like who just shot
Okay,
Charlie
okay,
Kirk. Like
yeah.
this can have implications in
Well,
other cases as well.
If you think that that's enough, right? I want to hear, what are you actually accusing these people of? Because what you're doing right now is just making a
I'm
speculation.
accusing them
You
of
say,
trying to
if
brush it
is
under the rug,
case,
that they don't want to
if
take
it-
any more looks at it. I'm accusing them of not wanting to have the conversation about it, either because it's embarrassing or because what you're saying. Either way, we should know. And you agree with that. So I don't see what the problem is.
Well,
Can
no,
I
that's
ask you
not what
something,
you're
Dylan?
saying. What you're doing is you're implying that there's some sort of nefarious wrongdoing going on and a cover
I'm
up.
saying that there's
for-
enough
hang on,
incompetence
no
enough?
My
problem
turn,
taking a
Dylan.
look.
My turn, Dylan. And that the whole idea here is that it's due to some sort of impropriety that this is going on rather than good reasons behind it. And that's because of your progressive inclination to state emphatically that anything that this administration does, it's doing for nefarious reasons.
If they're just
well, Dylan
incompetent,
respond.
shouldn't he
He's
fire
right,
them?
Dylan. Grid Motorsports. Go ahead.
Was that me or did you pass it to Grid?
Sorry, she's right. Say what you need to, then Dylan, you can respond. Then Grid, I know you
I
wanted to
gotcha.
cut in and say something.
Yeah, even if it's not necessarily indicative of corruption, it's at the very least then indicative of miscommunication and incompetence repeatedly from several parties. And even in good faith, isn't that enough cause to potentially fire these people? And if not, why are they being protected?
Look, if your criticism is that you want Pam Bondi to get fired, I want her to get fired too. I don't want any fucking
too.
women in that job. I want her out tomorrow. Okay,
Excuse
so
me?
like you're preaching to choir there. I want Trump's faith advisor fired too. I want that bitch out of there. But the thing is like
Why?
all of that aside, just if the whole whole position here is just, well, he released things in a way that makes him look like a fumbling, incompetent boob. It's like, okay, all right, but that's not really an accusation of wrongdoing, is it? It's just an accusation of like there's some incompetence in the administration and fire
Why
the
is that
women,
excusable
which
to
I'm
you?
all about firing the women in the administration.
Why?
Trump hires way too many women in the administration. Mike.
Why?
So
You can leave
right.
Carolyn Levitt, though, right? Please leave
she's
her
right.
alone.
She's right, Joe. Do you think that Pete Buttigieg should have been fired for all of the train derailments that happened during the Biden administration? Would you consider that incompetence?
I would have to look into the details of that and then see to what extent is that dependent on the direct actions and responsibilities of someone in that role. And if that's anomalously high, then yes, absolutely.
Okay, so what you're saying is you think that incompetence should be led to the termination of an employee. Okay, I think that you're right, but I don't think that you were given the same energy during the Biden administration when pretty much everybody in his whole entire cabinet was incompetent on a weekly basis.
Yeah, let's
So
talk
it's
about
showing your
they're so incompetent, in fact, that a poll comes out 2024 and then again 2025 where 90% of independents, 65% of Republicans think that Biden's too incompetent to do the job, only 34% of Democrats. Let's not talk about who's competent here. If the highest administration in the land can't even tell that the person who's the president doesn't know where he is and goes hubba dabba ding dong every time he's out in public. Like, you people have no leg to stand on about competence.
Alabama.
Well, I don't care about that. 'Cause that's downstream of media and perceptions. I care about the actual actions. And we have in the Trump administration, at the very least, they're all admitting, like, clearly there was an intent and an action and an agenda that was then gone against in potentially accidental ways by several key members, and they've kept on board. Like, that's not about what people think they're incompetent or not. Like, it seems to be that they're failing their duties and, the will of Trump.
Yeah,
it's
but think about this. Think
hard
about
to
this.
fire
If
government
Trump goes through
employees.
and he fires all these people for incompetency, do you think that the left's going to be like, oh, okay, that was good? Or do you think that the left's just
Yeah.
going to come out and say, hey,
Yeah.
Trump can't hold on to staff because he's such an inept leader? That's what they'll actually run with. Stop.
Who cares?
bullshitting me,
Wouldn't it still be
sweetheart. I've
good?
seen
Wouldn't it still be
a
good?
million
You
times.
wouldn't care about what the
I've seen
Democrats
it a
think, right? You
million
care about the
times.
actual
I
best
agree with
people doing the
Andrew there.
job, and that would be right no matter what.
100%.
That's the kind of thing where even if people are critical and it's actually about doing what's right
it's-
and best in the
it's
jobs, you would still want that
heads,
anyway. And you say, fuck them. They don't care what
Yeah,
they
It's
think.
heads you
Firing, what
win,
have you.
tails I lose. That's how it works with that. He fires them all, then you say he's so incompetent he can't get good staff, or he keeps them all, he's so incompetent he can't fire bad staff.
Speaking for
He just-
myself-
Wouldn't
he's
it
just
be?
not allowed to
I don't
work-
care
he's
what
not
other
allowed to
people
win.
think. It would be the
Not
right
allowed to
thing
win.
to do.
Firing is never necessarily a good thing. It means there's been a failure.
Well, I mean, not always. It's not always for.
If
for
you
the
fire
purposes of
somebody, that
Speaking for
usually means they
myself,
did a
it would
bad
be-
job.
it
So
would
you
actually
could always
give
bad
you-
for the job. That's an admission of
No,
failure.
A person
So yeah,
could
that,
be
of course,
a
there's
person
like
could be doing
lose-lose
the job.
situation.
A person could be doing the job and even doing it well, and you find someone who's just more qualified than they are, do it even better. That
Why
doesn't
do
mean
they
they're
count someone more
failing, Dylan.
qualified?
But we're talking about
Speaking for
firing over
myself, it would-
incompetence.
Incompetence.
No, we
isn't always
weren't.
failure
You,
either.
We were. We were
no.
saying if the problem
Dylan,
is
you
firing
bring-
Pambandi because incompetent, great. I hate women. Like so, they fucking good.
Dylan,
fire them.
if
Incompetent.
it's the
We
case,
agree.
yeah, if it's the case though that Trump fires him for incompetence, isn't the head story going to be Trump can't keep staff? Trump can't keep a.
Who
a-
cares?
gonna be
He'd still be best for the
bad
job.
Attorney
Especially after
General.
somebody like
Is that
Steve
a
Bannon,
logical
you know,
reason to
bad
keep an
FBI
incompetent person
director.
around?
Of
'Cause you
course,
don't want
because
the
he made a bad
headlines?
choice.
Really?
Now
No,
we're paying
heads
for it
you-
as a country.
Heads you win, tails I lose. So Trump fires him, he's in trouble.
Maybe you
He
should have
doesn't
picked people
fire
with
him, he's in
experience that knew what they were
trouble.
doing. They're critiquing because
He wouldn't be in
narrative.
trouble. He
That's
would
his
have the best
problem.
people
I
doing
mean, he
an
would win in
important
this
job.
case, though, Andrew, right?
It's true.
love
Nothing
it
Trump
when
could
four
do
people
would
talk,
get the
I
left
can
off
only
his
hear one
back.
of you.
That is true.
So who cares?
But
Then he
I
should
think
just
we
do the
all
best
agree
thing
with
he
that,
could.
right?
If he would've
Why
fired
doesn't he
somebody
want the
like
best people?
Hank said,
Thank you.
that
Stop.
would give him a
Stop.
little bit more respect, in my opinion, instead of like firing people that's like doing their job that's Democrats that he don't like.
Well, you don't know.
It'll
if
be
they're
more
doing it- if
respectable
they're
to
doing it
fire people that's
incompetently, they're
actually
not doing
fucking
their
up.
job. I mean, it.
Well, Trump
have-
Trump
have
fired so
years
many
fired people.
Trump did that in his
fired a
first
lot of people.
administration. In his first administration,
very
he was
good. It's a
firing
very
somebody
easy
every
job.
week. No. We already have a real world scenario. Where
Yeah,
this
now he
already
claims to
happened,
care what
and we
Democrats
watched
say.
their
See,
response.
he's
Trump's
flipping.
first administration, he was firing people every fucking week,
Yes.
and you guys
Because
were
they
saying
didn't
that he
listen
was.
to him.
You were saying he was exactly. You see what Andrew's right. It's heads I win, tails you lose. If Trump fires
Absolutely,
people,
100%.
you will say he's incompetent. If he doesn't fire people, you will say those people are incompetent and he should fire them. So we can
Is
say
the
he's
business
incompetent.
No,
plan in
misfit.
If you are running
It's
a company,
heads
and
you
have to
win,
get
tails I
80%,
lose.
like, stay over rate for the top of your administration. You're going to get critiqued for it. They're going to say, "Oh, there was a problem here. You had to change it." So I mean, yeah, it's going to be a lose-lose situation because he
Yeah,
set
there's just
himself up
no,
to lose.
there's just
But it would
no
be better-
charitability.
It'd be
just
better to get the failure out of the way and acknowledge it and move on. That'd be much better for the country.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's
Again,
just it's
pretty hard
it's
to
a
fire
complete
federal
lack of
employees.
it's a complete lack of charitability that
Well,
you
I
would give
actually-
that you would
Who
give to one of
cares?
I'd
your
be happy
guys.
if you fired Tulsi. I give an exact name of the person I'd want gone too. It isn't surprising who I'd
Bondi
But
want.
not Pam Bondi. You want Pam Bondi?
I want Pam
there?
Bondi gone
Tulsi
too. Just
fired?
Tulsi's the top of my list. Personal grudge.
Personal
Why you
grudge,
don't
all right.
like you don't? Why
I
don't
have
you
a
like? Why don't
question,
you like Tulsi,
Dylan.
Dylan?
I've been wondering.
Same
this,
reason
'cause
as you. I don't
brought-
like women in government, Andrew. What did you think?
Yeah, I knew that.
Based
Yeah, I knew that.
based
Hey,
answer.
got a
Hey, I
question,
don't mind. I don't
Dylan,
mind women in
and-
government. We need people to cook the president's food. I mean, what do you mean? That sounds like a government job.
What a loser.
Dylan and whoever else, why do you think it is that all of the clear-cut, provable information that we've gotten out of the Epstein files all implicate UK officials? Why is that?
I know recently there was a release on the Duchess that the Royal Duchess over there publicly like announced that Jeffrey Epstein was like a fiend and a scoundrel, but then privately like sent him a letter like, "Oh, I'm so sorry I said that. I just wanted to be able to keep publishing my children's books." I think it's because he was an extremely powerful individual, and people, I
Why
think
not
royals,
Sweden?
politicians, these
France,
people, and this is
Germany?
a sad truth. I think politicians and people of power are more predisposed to be pedophiles. I think people who want to have that type of power over children also generally want to have that type of power over other people as well. That they're power fiends, that they're obsessive people. And I
That's an
think that
exposure.
it's part of the
Wouldn't be
reason
surprised.
why I want this much transparency when it comes to
definitely not
government
getting
officials,
any.
because it goes from the state level to the national level to the local level.
Is it because such a disproportionate amount of them are homosexuals too, Dylan?
No,
Yeah, I don't know about
No.
that. but hey,
Are you
Dylan,
sure, Dylan? Are you sure?
no.
Well, not for
No.
nothing. And I'm not saying we should take her word for it, but Ghislaine Maxwell did come out with audio testimony just a few weeks ago, I think it was, and she was talking about how there
This
was a
was-
connection between Epstein and MI6. Epstein
Mr.
had Prince
Patriot's at
Andrew.
least a good
Epstein had
factor.
Virginia Guffrey, and there is a huge connection to the UK government. So I was
and it
actually
leads
trying-
credence
hold
to
on.
him
I
working
was,
with these
I was trying to
intelligence
I was trying to interject this to an earlier point Dylan made, where it's like, why doesn't the American government do this? And my answer would be, hey, maybe it's not the American government. Maybe the vast
And you know
majority
it's
of these operations weren't the CIA. Maybe it was MI6, maybe it was Mossad, maybe it was this all these other agencies, and they can't release something that would get them into trouble with maybe allied partnerships between other nations. So there's many hypotheticals of maybes, but if you look at the evidence based off of what the connections are to Jeffrey Epstein, it's not the Jews. It's actually a lot of MI6 and UK high profile figures.
All the UK. Like everything that can be proven 100% is all UK based. Why is that?
I kind of like.
Do we all agree
that
that
it
on
is
this
MI6
panel?
even more
Like,
reason.
kind of
We get to pin this on the British.
concerns.
That's what you're telling
He's,
me.
like,
Even
actually
more
an
reason to
independent
release
thinker.
this. Are you kidding me? If it's the British,
we all
if it's
agree
the
that
Americans, if it's
Jeffrey
anyone.
had
I mean, it's not like Donald
Mossad
Trump has ever
ties?
showed extreme
Well,
prudence
actually-
when it comes to respect for the Five Eyes alliance. He didn't tell Five Eyes for a lot of American action. If he wants to be the personal crusader against kitty diddling, I'd be all for it, including going after the British, including going after the royal family, Democrat, Republican, go after diddling.
Well, hang on, Riley. Give me a second to make the case. It's going to sound off topic, but it's not. I'm going to tie it in very quickly.
Okay, you got a second.
So,
I'll give it to you.
okay, so you are a Ukraine war correspondent. You know that
my
right now
God, Steve.
propaganda for the Ukraine, positive propaganda, is assisting them with their war effort. You would agree that that's true, right?
Yeah, he's a bad
That British
person, yeah.
propaganda is assisting Ukraine.
No, that's not what I
Sorry,
said.
here.
That positive propaganda for Ukraine is assisting Ukrainian war efforts, right?
No, this dude's a piece of shit.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
God, is
I
this
would
guy paid
agree
by
that that's
Russia?
true. It just
he
logically
that big?
tracks. What if it's part of the
Is he one of the
Ukrainian
Russian Times
government,
people?
though, and their intelligence or small intelligence agency, which was being used as a filtration system of money towards Jeffrey Epstein? And if that came out at this critical time, it would compromise their war effort. Would you fucking support it then?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't believe you. I think you're full of shit.
Okay, well, then you can just not believe me.
I think that it's the case that when you start to tie it all in, you start to realize how many different nations were likely involved when you look at the roster of the people who went to Epstein Island. And that's just the
guy's
speculative
insane.
roster. But remember, the Lolita Express had 200 passenger seats in it, and they were flying them onto a separate island. I think it was at
Even
Saint-
more reason that
But
it's
anyway,
worth it anyway.
They were flying them over and putting them on a boat, and then from the boat going over to Epstein Island. Thing is that a lot of governments probably are putting political pressure on our government as well not to release those files. Otherwise, Dylan, why wouldn't they? MI6 and others have access to lots of those files too. They're not releasing them. Guess what else? The Israelis aren't releasing anything. Guess what else? Ukrainian money backers who likely were filtering money for various Epstein
This
shell
dude
corps,
is
which would
so
make sense
unhinged.
because they were the most corrupt fucking government on earth and where most shell companies were
Not true,
parked.
but okay. They were
Well,
corrupt,
where
though.
most shell
They were the
companies
number- they
were
were
parked.
number three
Okay.
corrupt country,
Yeah, they were one of the most
In, like,
governments on
Oh,
earth.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
for God's sakes, we know what happened with Hunter Biden. The thing is like, look, many governments are likely involved in this if this was an actual compromise operation. So there's probably a lot of shit going on there that you're not being charitable about anyway,
Look,
or just being
I've
disingenuous
published
about it.
interviews with draft dodgers. I've published testimony about officers like stiffing people out of pay. I'm willing to publish information that doesn't make the Ukrainian government look good. And if it means that there'll be less diddling or abuse of children or any of this type of gross behavior, then I'm in support of it. I
What if-
want the
well, let me
information
ask
to
you
be
this.
transparent.
What if-
And look, it's not that hard
Yeah.
to believe, Andrew, that me as a content creator, it'd be easy for me to want the motivation to go over more stuff that I could talk about and go transparent and have a full take on my show. I mean, even if you wanted to make it like a cynical take, it could just
Yeah,
be
he's not
financially
serious.
motivated in some way. But there's a million motivations that could push me to say, yes, I want the information out there
Well, let me ask
anyway.
it a
Even if
different
it makes the
way.
Ukrainians look good or makes the Ukrainians look bad, this so far makes the United
Yeah.
States look bad. If they includes other
what
countries,
if-
it includes other countries.
Let's say you had a crystal ball and you were able to look in the crystal ball and see that if this information came out, it turned out that the Ukrainian government under Zelensky and pre-Zelensky or Zelensky involvement somehow tied into this, that they were assisting in filtering money via shell corporations through Ukraine in order to fund Pedo Island. And you saw that that would cost them the war effort against Russia. Would you do it then?
So if Petro Poroshenko, because it wouldn't be Zelensky,
Who
because Zelensky
cares?
was after Jeffrey
That's
Epstein.
Yeah,
not
notice
what I
consistency,
said. I
okay?
said
Here's
we're
how he's using
somehow tied
propaganda.
in.
He's name dropping lots
Well,
of
on
stuff.
principle, I'd
He's
have
having
to
a
do
New
it.
Yorker
I mean, I
speaking.
wouldn't like it,
And
but I'd
whenever
have
there's
to.
anything
Even though
that
it would
is
cost
probably
them,
true
even
and
though
does
it would
not
cost
support
them the
him,
war effort.
On principle, I don't want that to be
he's
the case,
if
but I
there's
have,
anything he
if you're not dedicated
Isn't
to
that the
believes
more
he can
journalism is
prevent
first
his
draft,
propaganda.
draft history, you have to stand on
He's
something
skewing things.
principally, dude.
But isn't
I have
that
keeps
the
on having
more
what he says.
unprincipled
or I
position?
stand
And then
on
I called him out
nothing.
multiple
If you're not
times on
willing to
his
die
like
something,
sexism,
you don't
and
really
he
believe in
never
it.
You're a
mentioned it.
utilitarian.
Yeah,
is
that's the
bullshit.
more unprincipled position, though, from a
I believe the
utilitarian
information should
view.
go out into the public. I'm sorry
just
if you
don't
don't
get
if you
it.
don't want that. That's my position.
I'll never
I
understand
think
these
this is
fucking
something that should
people,
be easy
ever.
for me to take a stance on. I believe all the information should be out to the public.
So
Mhm.
I think what Andrew just did was like what was the trolley problem, where it's like, okay, you're gonna give Ukraine to Putin by exposing this now, or you could give it, or you could hold on it and wait and maybe release it later. And that's you're
No,
saying
no. The principle that I'm
Wait,
giving is just to
if there's
demonstrate.
a scenario where I
no.
could hold it and
He's
release it
wrong.
later to save Ukraine, then I'd probably take that option. But
We're
if
so
that's
far
not
off
what he
topic
said,
now. He's just
he
running his
said
propaganda
either
points.
release it or not, or don't. Like those
Well,
are
I
your
mean,
two
it's
options.
entailed,
Even
but
though
it's
obviously I could do exactly
Yeah,
what you said.
but it's
Misfit
entailed.
Patriot.
But it's entailed. And the thing is like I'm just looking at it from purely your utilitarian view, and I don't
Well,
get it.
look, you're
because
saying like you're making
But
a
Jesus.
like
calm
a,
down
a,
for
a,
2
Doesn't even
seconds.
care what
Calm
Dylan
down.
has
scenario
to
where we
say.
couldn't release it
It's
later.
not
so I'm giving
impossible.
you
I'm
an
just
answer to an
testing
impossible
logic
scenario. So
of-
maybe you think it seems fanciful, but it's my opinion.
I'm only testing the logic of the view from a utilitarian
Mm.
perspective. If it would cost the entire war effort against Russia.
Somebody could be a rules-based utilitarian, by the way.
and
You
a
can have
rules-based-
certain rules and still be
and
utilitarian.
rules-based
And I think
utilitarianism reduces to
something like that
utilitarianism.
is a line I'm willing to draw in the sand. If no one
Yeah.
else here is willing to do that, okay, but I am.
But Dylan, you realize that what you just said was you would, in my scenario, hold off on it in order to maybe.
This is
save
so far
more
off
people,
topic.
and that
I'm just
could
going
be
to talk
the
to you guys
same
because it's
view
not going to get
If
honest.
holding
good
on it
conversation
for
from
a
the panel.
year could save millions
keep in
of
mind,
lives,
the
then
Republicans
yeah,
here,
I think I would be able to
justify
say we
holding
could
on
be
to
transparent
a-
about this.
That's what they
With
an
some
agenda of,
conditions,
like,
if it means we
supposed
still get the information
incompetence.
out, we still bust up the circle
Okay.
because
That, like, no, everyone is just incompetent all at once, but they've not been fired for some reason, and that's okay because the Democrats making fun of them for a week because they're fired would be worth it. Like that's so much reason they shouldn't fire them, which is embarrassingly
What if this
bad.
administration is holding off on releasing certain files because there is named perpetrators that were tied to Jeffrey Epstein that they
Like, it's
don't want
embarrassingly
to
bad,
release
embarrassingly bad.
information that would fuck up a case where they could put them in jail and save maybe
some
dozens,
generals or some
hundreds,
shit.
or hundreds or more.
If
children
this
that those
if this
people
is
are gonna
proven later, then and that they're getting more people, that they're getting more pedophiles, and that in about 3, 4, 5 years we'll see that there's Jeffrey Epstein Operation 2.0 Electric Boogaloo, then I'll be like, great, I'm happy they did it. If the only way they could do it is by
Hey,
keeping their
that's the
mouth
wrong
shut and
your.
taking the heat.
It's
I
a
find-
school
but
inspired
that's
study.
pure
It's right down.
speculation. At
So,
this
so,
point.
but hang on. Everything you're saying is pure speculation. So then it is possible that
There's
right
no room to
now
criticize
you're
anyone.
actually
we were in
under.
speculation territory.
Hang on,
once we
hang
said
on.
MI6.
Hang on. So right now it is possible.
And just
that
throws a
you're
bunch of
actually
theoreticals and
undermining the
hypotheticals,
capture
and then is
of
like,
more
wow, you're just
pedophiles
being
by speculating the
hypothetical.
way you are. Is that correct?
If this is the case, I don't think I'm undermining it by calling for its release. They can just ignore me and do it
How
anyway.
would that not be
Because if
undermining
my
it?
release is conditioned on the idea that it can catch more pedophiles, then
Yeah.
there's no problem.
So, but no, the undermining would be if you put that out to your audience, they put it out to these people, and then they all are making these endless demands. That would actually be undermining the very position, right?
I mean, I'm not undermining the position. If you just asked me, and I said, if they're going to catch more pedophiles, and this is the only way to do it, then
Yeah.
fine. But the Trump administration said they would release it. Then they didn't. People are going to ask questions about it.
Yeah, look, I'm all
you're probably
for
young.
them releasing
Follow
the
this Andrew
Epstein
guy.
files. I'm just pointing out that you've
if you have
always
some more
been
life experience, you'll
inconsistent
see
in
the
your
kind of way that he
utilitarian
talks
view,
about
one,
women,
and two, that
and
what's
talks to
been
other
brought
people.
up
But
here
here,
by
let me
Misfit
speak. He's like
Patriot by
a bully
myself
for
is that
space, which is
there
like
could
it's loser
easily be
behavior. It's like
tangential
low social
reasons that
flirting
we're
behavior.
unaware of as to why it is
There's a
when you
You tried
consider
to
certain
find
way about the women
inconsistency, and then you
that
just didn't
speaks more to
accept what
kind
I
of like
said. And then
no,
that
no,
was
no. We
justifying his
found
own, like,
the
virginity or not really
inconsistencies
getting
with
any. Like
utilitarian
it's
view
I don't know.
itself.
Like just
If
just
you
keep him
are
in the
willing to
context.
draw
of
the
it.
yeah.
line in the
He gets
sand,
paid from this.
if you're willing to
and,
draw the line in the sand,
I
and
didn't
it
believe
costs
in
not-
civil.
X amount
he's
of
kind of a
negative
loser.
utils,
Just
then guess
be sure
what?
about that.
That's
Like,
not a consistent utilitarian
keep an eye
view.
out for that.
One,
Okay?
that's one. But two, to tie it back in, we just demonstrated for you at least one thing that maybe you should take away from this conversation, which is that if there's a multitude of
don't take your
governments
life
which are
advice from
involved in a
incels.
blackmail
Don't-
operation,
you-
and
I
that
get
seems
that
to
people
be
wanna
what the
be cool and
narrative
strong and
has been
successful.
for a long time,
Learn from people who are
then
actually cool
they're
and strong and
probably
successful.
also putting political pressure on our government
important.
not to release these files
Like,
because
stay
it would be
healthy, stay
very
safe, okay?
embarrassing for them or for people who work for them, and it could compromise them as
Yeah, I'll turn
well.
him down.
That's the overview of the big boy picture of the let's take a look at it from the bird's eye.
Is that
view.
better?
Do you agree that that's a possibility, Dylan?
It's a possibility, but then we both agreed anyway that this should be released anyway.
Yeah, look, again, I'm for their release, but I also understand that I'm not going to undermine the greatest president of my time.
Yeah, like I don't
because
know. I
you're
feel
not
bad for
getting your
them.
little
Like I don't know what they
filey-wileys
think they're
quick
doing. Like
enough
they're
on.
just
I'm not going to do it.
it's
Well, then
antisocial
maybe he
behavior.
shouldn't
They deserve
promise
better.
things
Like I do want them
quickly.
to
He gives
succeed
him
in life.
24 hours. He makes a lot
I
of
want them to
promises.
be
He
Wouldn't
doesn't
matter
better
what
deliver
he
on. He said he
men
wasn't
wouldn't
going to be
than
the
matter
other
what
politician,
said.
and he
the man
lied
boy
like
they're
a
Yeah,
following.
whatever. It wouldn't matter
think
what he
about
said. You demonize him anyway.
Think about what Trump actually did say, though, because Trump never promised to release the Epstein files in his campaign. He never put it on any of his rally tours. He was asked in an interview. He mentioned it twice. Once on Fox and Friends with Rachel Campos Duffy, where he said, "Yeah, I'll look into it and I will release." But he never said, "I'm going to release every single thing that I possibly have, even if it undermines certain other operations, certain other cases." He said, "I'll release the files." What I think what he was implying is, I'll give you what I can, which is what most presidents would do. No president is gonna go. No president is gonna be held to a standard of an interview where he says,
But
"Yeah,
he
sure, I'll
hasn't
look
given
into
us
it."
what he can.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Well,
don't.
you
I
don't
mean,
know
like
that.
There's a bipartisan
for
effort to
example,
try and overrule him, and it's
the
considered hostile
judge
to the
that was brought up
administration.
by Andrew earlier said that it's the government's discretion. So he
Yeah,
can. You're
Gotcha.
just saying that the consequence is
But
so
they've
mighty
requested.
for
Well,
this
they've
for this
requested.
what we're speculating
So
about right
here's
now that
here's
he
what they
just
have
is
released.
choosing not to as president.
Okay, but here's what they have released, right? They released about 80,000 documents. They released the Maxine, the Ghislaine Maxwell audio interview. They released the flight logs. They released, even though Trump was even in them, they released everything that they had. And then, what if you believe Pam Bondi, which I don't fucking really recommend, there was a bunch of files that she was told were at the New York field office that they never got. And I think what happened was she just jumped the ship and tried to get on Fox News and get a little airtime, and she called it too early because they found out that they actually don't have those other files. So again, I'm not giving credit to them and like benefit of doubt or covering. I'm saying there are no files or no other files that they can release responsibly, and they have given you everything that they can release responsibly. They
That's
have
not
given
justified,
you
actually.
all of the Epstein files. The grand jury
No, they could give
testimony,
more.
that's under the purview of the judge who has blocked it.
They
That's
could give
like,
more.
we've
They
already
want to
gone
release
over
more,
this.
but
Hang on,
the
but
Trump
maybe we can
administration
get to the
doesn't
heart
support
of
that.
this again because we just seem to be going over the same ground over and over and over again. So maybe we can just
Agree.
like get right at the heart of this thing. So here's the universal agreement I think we all have. We all want to see the Epstein files. Everyone's in agreement there, right? Got it.
Yes.
Okay. So we all want that to be released. We're all in agreement that the administration fumbled their release with what they did with the creators and kind of Pam Bondi's doublespeak and all this type of shit. They definitely fumbled that. We can all agree on that too. Okay, great.
Yes.
So we all agree on that.
Advances and Mike
So
Johnson's.
the thing is like, why? So here's my question. Why, though, is this going to make me turn on Trump? If it's not going to make me turn on Trump, if you're not going to give me some compelling reason to turn on Trump, why do I give a shit about this other than, yeah, don't fucking
Because
do that
other
next time,
people
Trump.
care about the
You
right
wouldn't
thing.
turn on Trump if he fucking fucked your wife. You wouldn't do it anyway. So like, just
I wouldn't turn
I
on him
don't
if
even
he
know why
fucked
you're
your wife.
pretending.
But
Believe
I'd
me, no
turn
one
on
here's
him if he
expecting you to be a
fucked
good
mine.
person.
Pretending like you would turn on Trump in any circumstance.
I wouldn't say you should
I
turn
have
on
very
Trump.
clear. I have very clear conditionals for things that I'll accept from the administration and won't accept from the administration. And most MAGA people are this way as well. The problem is that you guys lie so consistently and have tried to prosecute this guy over nothing so many times that we're just beyond giving a shit. We're beyond giving a shit about what your
But Andrew,
opinions
I would
are.
say
You call him a fascist,
you
you call him a Nazi, you call him all kinds of crazy
can
shit
at
because
least
you're all lunatics.
criticize him more. I'm not saying that this should like make you disloyal to Trump, but you could at least criticize him more and call him out more when he says stuff like saying that it's a Democrat hoax. I mean, you don't believe that. You said you believe the Epstein files should be released, so
That's
it's not a Democrat hoax.
no. What he was referencing there was the all the rumor mongering by Democrats that he was named in the Epstein files, and it was a big cover up by him because he didn't want that released. That's what he was referencing as the hoax, and this is exactly what I mean by why I don't fucking trust liberals. I've been watching for the last 2 weeks
Because of
I've
Trump's
been
words.
tangling up with TikTokers. Now, this last week, after Kirk was assassinated due to left-wing
Fake news,
with
not proven, no evidence, no evidence.
left-wing
Where's the evidence? Prove it. You don't know. You don't know. You're speculating. No, there's not. Fake news. Nothing turned over by the investigation. Fake news. Fake news. Fake news. Not substantiated. Fake news. Where's the evidence? Fake news.
There's mountains.
Yeah,
of
basically,
evidence.
yeah.
Fake news.
You really believe that?
Yeah.
You are delusional
Family,
as
hold on.
You're
Yes,
more
I
defensive than
do.
I thought.
Yes, I do. I only
I don't know
believe
why we
that
should listen to
progressive
anything you're
liberals
saying if
date
you
trans
think that that's a
people.
fact.
Fake
think
news.
you're-
Oh,
I
that's
think it's- I think
fake
it's
news.
an
Entailment.
really
I
believe
think it's
that.
an
That's the
entailment, bro.
dumbest shit I've ever heard.
I think it's an
I have-
entailment. So
I have
anyway, that
evidence.
aside.
Liar.
To
I have
finish
the
the
evidence,
point,
though.
let me land.
Liar.
Hold on, Andrew,
Hypocrite.
Mr. Patriot, go ahead.
Can I
Bullshit.
just finish? I was almost done.
I'll give-
Oh, you need more lies to tell?
No, I'm just saying this, right? I'm just saying this because
right
you
back
guys
No,
jump in.
you're fake news. You're lying. There's no evidence turned over by the FBI investigation. They've looked into it. They have nothing. Okay, this was reported by all the major news sources, Fox and right of that. Fake news. No evidence. Where's the evidence? I thought you cared about evidence. Were you lying then?
This is going to take 2 seconds. The evidence
He's right. You
is
are cutting out of it.
the
Or, sorry, I
evidence
just want-
is-
Yeah, go ahead.
The evidence is his friend has confirmed that he was far left, and his
Retracted.
family has confirmed that he was far left. Both people have confirmed he's far left.
Nope, the friend story was retracted. The friend couldn't remember. You can look up the same articles this was in.
On the bullet casing.
shit.
How is this a
No shit.
debate?
That's
He was
not
obviously
definitively
far
anti-fascist
left.
stuff. No,
That
that's
was
not
from
sufficient.
Helldivers, though.
What?
That was from
How was that?
Helldivers.
He broke
What
Bella
was the
Ciao,
Helldivers?
Bella
Dude is on the
Ciao,
left.
Bella
Dude is on the
Ciao.
left.
That's
the
not sufficient.
bullets.
That's not
How is
sufficient.
that not sufficient? Why
Because
would
those are not
Reagan get an
those are
anti-fascist
not
song from
necessarily
Bailey?
deductively indicative of what you claim. There's no evidence linking him
This is,
Oh,
to that.
come on.
That's
What do you mean?
That's so much code.
Groypers say that shit all the time.
But anyway, the
Cognitive
point
dissonance.
that I was
Fake news.
the point that I was
Rare
making.
Yes, they do.
Such an overdose
The
of
point that I was
cocaine.
making
It
is there's no reason, because of how often you lefties will take these people out of context, like what you've done with Charlie Kirk and the things that he said, taking
Fake
him
news.
out of context to make it sound like he was saying black women shouldn't vote, all kinds of shit that he never said, and you just lie about it.
No, that's
so
not
openly.
Well, yeah, you're lying about that. Nope, that's not what he said. He listed several black women and said some awful shit about them, and we all know.
Bro. Do you hear what I just said? I have the video proof. I've been arguing with leftists on
Why you-
TikTok
you're
for a
on
week
nobody-
straight.
TikTok is a different place. Like, we're not here to defend TikTokers, bro. And this is about Epstein.
Then why
and
don't
you're
you
trying to-
listen to what I'm saying?
Because you're
Don't listen
lying.
to respond.
just
Listen
you don't
to
have
what I'm
evidence.
saying.
You don't have
you're
proof.
saying shit that's irrelevant
I'm
to this
saying that
topic.
you fucking people lie so much about what
You
people
just
say.
lied about motives for a
Difficult
shooter,
for me
which
to
there's no
believe
evidence
what I'm
turned over
Talking
by
about
the
what you're
investigation.
saying here. You talking about people
I
on
am talking about what
TikTok.
you're saying here.
No, you brought up TikTok.
Oh yeah?
to try to
Okay,
shit
well,
on
here,
them.
Fucking
let's just
liar.
ask you.
Fuck about
Let's just ask
TikTok.
you. Was Charlie Kirk a racist?
I think he was. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
How?
Can you
No, what's your
answer
burden of
that?
proof?
All right.
What's your burden of proof for racism?
There we go.
What's your burden of proof for
Now
racism?
tell
No,
me.
we're officially too
what
far
would
afield. We are
lead
now
you to
Andrew.
believe that?
Andrew Logics now, everyone, we are now way officially too far afield, but I think this is a good pivot into the last kind of question I want to ask, because we're coming up at we're at what, an hour and 20 and some change. So let me ask this related to Charlie Kirk, because this is something else I want to talk about tonight. So I've also seen, as of recently, a lot of discussion online about the fact that, and again, this is not my position, I've just seen this conversation happen, that the Charlie Kirk assassination shifted a lot of public discourse away from the Epstein files. And notably, Charlie Kirk strongly called for the release of the Epstein files. So I'm curious if any of the panels have any thoughts about the circumstances. Do any of you give any weight to any of the conspiracy theories, or is it just a coincidence?
It's probably a coincidence. I mean, because
Definitely coincidence.
you'd have to go and say that the shooter shot Charlie Kirk because he was trying to distract from the Jeffrey Epstein files, threw his whole life away so that he could take focus away from the Epstein files. It's not logical. But you know, the conspiracy theory point. There is so many already in this Charlie Kirk thing, and we're getting into this thing where there's this new culture that's emerging, like conspiracy culture. And I have said this before. I think that the conspiracy culture that is going on are just as responsible for radicalizing people that the college indoctrinations that or online indoctrinations that may have inspired and radicalized the person who shot Charlie Kirk. Right? It gets people paranoid. It gets people into this whole false reality that things are like, this is what Andrew was just saying. If you lie and lie and lie and lie, if you call people a fascist, right? Why wouldn't you kill a fascist, right? If Charlie Kirk was a general in Donald Trump's Nazi army, you'd want to shoot him.
Of course.
Right? So-
Right, exactly.
so-
That's the whole point. That's the
So,
whole
yeah.
point. And so but the point of me bringing up what these massive left-wing accounts on TikTok are saying, oh, it ain't got nothing to do with me, is to point this out. And it's very important that I point this out, that the left-wing propagandists have done everything they can to recharacterize what's actually said so that they can lie about it. They do the same thing with Donald Trump.
Like you're doing now.
Right.
How am I recharacterizing what
Y'all
you
created,
said?
oh, maybe they're hiding stuff. You know, it could damage the reputation of the country and all this. That's why they're keeping the files a secret. Like all that shit that you concocted is the
I
same.
mean, that's
shit
a
you're trying
that's
to
a
act like it's
possibility
realism.
at least,
I know,
right?
but
That is a sensible theory.
Those weren't
I'm
our
saying they're
positions,
engaging in the
doofus.
same behavior.
Those
They're
weren't our
criticizing. Is my
positions,
point.
doofus.
I don't.
Oh
we
my
weren't
God.
so there's
How
a difference
fucking dumb
between-
are you? Listen, because I can explore the idea of a hypothetical, entertain it, that does not make it my position. I've repeatedly
I
called for the
understand.
Epstein
I
files
understand,
to be
but you're
released.
still engaging in the same behavior you're criticizing.
How? How would that be
Nonetheless.
doing that? Engaging in a hypothetical would be the opposite of that, doofus.
That's critical thinking, not conspiracy theory.
Critical. All right.
I would say the only sensible thing to break the silence that you would have to hold to about what the moderator asked is if Charlie Kirk's shooter was Mossad and then Epstein was also Mossad and then so they're covering it up to like and that theory, which I don't, to me that's like too conspiratorial brained. That's the only thing I could even posit that could make sense. Otherwise, I think it's just a coincidence.
I honestly
There could be
feel
any
bad
number of
even
ties or links, but
without
there's no
being
proof for any of them.
really rude and mean, so I'm just going to be really quiet.
Gotcha. That's fine if people don't have as many thoughts. I was also curious because this also came to me that who is that? There's a really big notable figure, a large Republican figure who came out and is saying that it was
Some
all a
fucking
hoax or that it
trigger
was a
kicker.
conspiracy. Who is that?
Gregory.
There's too many of them.
Candace Owens. Candace Owens recently came out.
Candace
Lonely fucking way to spend a night.
I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know what's
she's-
going on with her.
You're weird.
Wait,
got-
wait.
she
I
needs
didn't know
them.
I would get a chance to shit on
Keep on the
Candace
spot,
Owens,
bud.
but
You got a
I'm
girlfriend
not
I need
going to
now.
shit on Candace Owens here in front of liberals. That would be inappropriate.
Yeah, that would be inappropriate. But
Oh, I will. Candace Owens needs to be in a padded fucking room. You know,
Never
and-
shit on a right winger in front of progressives, bro. Ever.
All right, fine.
Never.
pro code.
Improprietus.
Epstein's friends stick together.
Hey, Misfit, do you also think women
Oh, that
should
was
stay
very-
away
that
from
was very
administrative
clever.
positions in government?
I didn't hear the question. What?
I just want to know, do you think that women should stay in like do you think that's a good role for them or like housemakers mostly?
Yeah,
This is
I'm
also
not-
pretty afield. I'll
not
give
as-
you 1 second. Same direction.
I'm not as misogynistic as Andrew. I think they can work in whatever they want. But I am more traditionalist, where I think if they want to be a
You guys
homemaker-
realize that was a meme, by the way,
Yeah,
right?
he's
Like,
got-
I don't
Is that
care.
Andrew?
Right.
That's
Yes.
something I'd believe you'd believe.
Why? Based on what?
I mean,
Based
it
on
just
what?
seems your demeanor, just the way that you're
like
Oh,
I've
sorry.
heard you-
Based on
I
the
feel like
fact
I've
that
heard you
just
say
made
that
it up.
before, Andrew. I mean,
Did you
maybe
read
I'm
the Bible?
mistaken.
There's
For
sections
what?
about it as homemakers. that I think
accountability.
Yeah, you said
probably
that women
believe in.
shouldn't hold positions in government.
Never once.
Okay, maybe I'm mistaken. I swear to
all
God,
of you,
I've heard you
the
say
reason
that.
you guys, what happens is, again, typical left wingers, they attribute quotes that aren't mine to me.
No,
You
I
said-
watch
No,
a
we were
lot
talking about
of
your
you.
quotes.
I watch a lot of you.
What's
so
that?
I
What's
don't,
that,
I'm not
Dylan?
meaning to
I
do
said
that.
it during what?
Today. You said it during our talk today.
When
You
I was
said it.
clearly memeing. Clearly.
Was
joking.
you?
That's-
No.
Honestly, it
Oh,
didn't
gee,
come off
Dylan,
that
No.
way.
are you
I-
joking?
Get informed
when
your
you said
positions.
that you didn't want her to hold office because she was a woman, or should I take that
No,
seriously?
that was serious.
I mean, Andrew, you don't want
Yeah.
women to vote, though. That's
Fuck,
not a joke, right?
what a stupid fuck, dude. So the guy makes the same joke I do. When I do it, it's not a joke. When he does it,
Correct.
it's a joke.
I mean,
Correct.
I was joking because I thought you were.
What a
I honestly
stupid
thought you were
dick.
serious, Andrew. That sounds like something.
honestly
you would
thought
say.
you were
Honest,
serious
If you don't
too,
believe
Dylan.
that, I don't know if you
I
know how
honestly
you come
thought-
off sometimes, but it sounds like
I
something you believe.
honestly
He's so
thought you
weak he
believed
can't
that
own
too.
his own
So,
positions.
Andrew, you think
thought it from you too,
Dylan.
Andrew, you think
Hey,
women shouldn't be able
hold
to
on.
vote, but they
Confluence. Pause.
Sorry.
No,
I
that's
gotta-
not my
I gotta
position.
cut.
I've never had the position women should be able to vote either. You guys
What are you,
just
I
make
gotta-
shit
what
up.
are you talking? No,
Everyone,
you've
hey,
said that hundreds of
I'm
Never
times.
said it once.
What a
Never
Weasley
I'm gonna
said
move
liar.
it
people. All
once.
right. People keep talking. I'm gonna move people to the waiting room. All right.
I'll
This
tell
is
you what,
now
I'll tell you what,
officially
show me-
too.
show
It's
me the proof.
officially too afield. All right. We're not gonna. I gotta cut both ways. Dylan, you made your point. Andrew, I've given you a lot. All right. So it sounds like I feel like we basically have come around to a pretty decent stopping point. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around in the reverse order that I did intros for. And I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to shout themselves out.
Yeah, he's
and
holding like a
give their
lot of
closing
cigarettes there.
statements. All right. So starting in reverse order, first to go is Confluence. Do you want to shout yourself out and give your closing argument?
Yeah, I have a long disease,
Confluence
so
358 on YouTube,
I
again,
hydrate.
center right,
Wanna
make
die.
political videos. Go check me out. Closing thoughts. I think we're all in agreement that the files exist. I think we disagree on what's in
Gregory,
the
I
files.
think you need a masculine
I don't
man,
know
okay,
if we
bud?
covered enough ground, but at least we had some agreement and a lot of spicy
Focus on your own
takes,
relationships
so,
there.
yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Projecting a little
Up
bit.
next, we got Logics.
Yeah, so Illogics on YouTube, ILLLOGIX. basically, like I said, I don't think there's any solid proof that Trump has done anything nefarious. I just think that it's funny that a lot of people on the right are tripping over themselves to not know if they want to be for or against them being coming out or not believing what's coming out. I just want him to admit the fact that he's in
That's
the
pretty
files
weird.
and
What
let
is?
his base do what they
How do you
please with
sound?
that information. So, yeah.
All right, thank you. Next up, we got Grid Motorsports.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you having me on again. It's been fun. Not as fun as last time, but almost as fun. Um, it was. It's interesting to get all of the various takes, and we can tell who reads conspiracy theory as reality, and who can keeps it in the realm of theory. And it's interesting the facts that are ignored. Uh, nobody really seems to care that the UK are the ones that seem to have all of the verified Epstein data. Like nothing, nobody else. It's weird. Uh, nobody. It's all about
Okay,
Trump,
closer.
though, right? And to say that Trump is not a target is just simply. I mean, it's sophomoric at
Yes,
best and
he
idiotic
wasted all of this.
at more probable, right? And so I think Andrew did a good job. Fortunately, I didn't have to yell over him or anything because that would make me look bad. And but man, it was a good time. Um, you can find me at Unreasonable Man on YouTube and Twitch, and I occasionally post on X, but very rarely, very rarely. And it's been fun. You guys have a good night.
Cool. Thank you so much. Up next, we've got Andrew JD.
Yes, Andrew JD on every platform. My position has not changed at all. Never will. I feel like every single second that we waste talking about the Epstein stuff that will never materialize into anything would be my solid guess. That is oxygen wasted that could have been going towards a topic that matters. So let's put this. Hopefully, we can put this one to rest in the near future because it's tired. It's played out.
All right, thank you. Up next, we've got She's Right Show.
As of 2 days ago, sources as far right as Newsmax even reported from the official FBI investigation into the Charlie Kirk killing, there is no Kirk shooting tied to leftists. There is no evidence for it. Consider who's lying to you and who's telling the truth. Look up the sources as far right as you want. It's all out there. I support evidence. I support releasing all the files. I support the bipartisan effort, and not just when I'm penned in a corner and then I lie and flip on everything I've been saying this whole time.
Next up, we've got the Misfit Patriot.
Oh, thank God I'm right after her. Because I'm going to start with just debunking your bullshit. The shooter was a leftist. His family
Fake
says
news.
he's a leftist. No, don't interrupt me. This is my closing. His family said he's a leftist. He wrote, "Catch this fascist" on his fucking shell casing. Okay?
Boomers don't know
right
the
does
memes.
not call people fascists. In fact, the left has
Nick
tried to convince the
Fuentes
entire world that the
does.
only thing a fascist is right wing. So use common sense critical thinking and stop looking at a fucking news headline for confirmation bias if you want to find out what political ideology the shooter espoused. Also, he fucking shot
Newsmax, by the
Charlie
way.
Kirk, not
Newsmax,
Kamala
by the way.
Harris. All right.
Newsmax, by the
Let's
way.
get that out of the way. The Trump, the Confluence, I think it was, said we all agree the files exist. I want to clarify. I don't think the files that you want exist. I think that they are destroyed. I think that they are long gone.
Fox
and
and
that's why I
Newsmax
agree
reported.
with Andrew JD in getting over this because we're just going to keep on asking for something that was shredded. If there are files, I think that they're probably in a different government like MI6. And even if we did have the files that the smoking gun against Epstein or somebody else, then I think that I still have enough faith in my country based off of the system that
Thanks
we
for
have
subscribing,
that
Patriot.
it's not necessarily like this nefarious reason. I think it's more
Yeah,
likely
there's
that
a lot
they're
of like
probably
weird
holding
ass
back
misogynistic
certain,
trolls in chat here.
details
I'm
of the case
curious why.
because there's either
Like,
further investigations or
do you
there
have
could be
relationships?
compromising,
Does that
with
hurt?
other things that we've already
How long
gone
have you
over
been
this.
following those same voices?
And finally,
Have they helped you get closer to
I think
relationships?
it was, can't remember his name.
Or have they kept you
right above me,
donating while
was
staying the
saying,
same?
I want Trump to release it because I want.
Have they
him
pushed you
to use
further
it
away
when
from
he's in the
women?
files. Trump has already done that.
Have they pushed you
Trump
further
has
away from friends?
literally given you information saying,
Have you given them
I'm
money?
an associate of Jeffrey Epstein. So I think what a lot of people on the other side
Why
of,
don't they?
of the, let's say the left
Why don't
side
they
of this,
concede when even
argument,
Fox and Newsmax
your
agree?
TDS is basically going, okay, I want to catch Trump.
Who are you
in
people?
this. You don't care about the children. You don't care about the victims. You don't care about Jeffrey Epstein.
You don't know what the assassin
You
believed.
probably would have been talking about this over the past 19 fucking years, and you haven't been. It wasn't until the Democrats tried to weaponize it
Like-
against Trump in the past 8 months, and then you guys started doing exactly what you always do.
No, like there's video game references are often used by eclectic mimetic groups. Nick Fuentes, leader of the far-right alt-right Kuiper movement, a successor to like the 8chan and 4chan movements of the past couple of years, famously calls his opponents fascists. It's used ironically by younger generations. But there's no actual hard evidence. If there was hard proof, you know you would see it. You know every Republican would be gloating. You know it would be on every news channel.
Well, cool. Thank you. Up next, we've got Dylan Burns. You want to close out? Or we've got you. Yeah, do you want to shout yourself out and give your closing arguments?
Sure. So if there's nothing in American possession as was being suggested, maybe it's in British possession, maybe it's in French, Israeli, who knows possession. Even more reason to release it, because if you don't have the crucial files proving anything, then it should be of easy facility within your powers to release the files. If what is being speculated is true, but of course, we are still completely in the realm of speculation. I think the reason, of course, I think Democrats are using this in a partisan manner. That's obvious. They didn't talk about it in the years leading up to this.
Thank you for
but the reason they're
subscribing,
able to
Patriot.
use it in a partisan manner is because the Trump administration overpromised. And when I say the Trump administration, I mean Kash Patel, I mean Dan Bongino, I mean Pam Bondi, I mean just
The best case scenario for Republicans is that they lie and overpromised and don't have anything, and they're incompetent and they're still promising.
It is true. One time he said, yeah, maybe we'll release it in response to a question. And
You
another
are
time he talked
small,
about, yeah, well, maybe
weak
we'll release
boy,
it. We don't want to
Matthew.
implicate people and get them in trouble if they're not really, involved. And, some of that stuff's fake anyway. It seemed to be laying down
Like,
the
I hope you
foundation
know
for what's now
how
the
much
discussion
normal
from the
people
Trump administration,
cringe
which from Trump directly,
if they see
it's
you,
a
probably
hoax.
don't get it
From
much.
Mike Johnson, maybe he's an
I
FBI
feel bad for
informant.
you.
Maybe it's referring to
I mean,
those.
like, we're
proceedings
influenced
of
by the media we
prosecutors in the
consume.
past. There's so much confusion around this, and
The
they've
media you
handled it
consume
so
has
poorly
led you to
that the whole nation is
some weird shit
unsatisfied
with free time.
how this information has been released to the public. And so releasing it to the public is the most transparent way to deal with it. I
No,
hope
do you
they
know
release
that
it to the public,
many people call
and
many
I
people
hope that
fascists for
when
many
it
reasons
does
that
come
aren't
out,
actually
whether
based in
it'll
formal
be
political
done by the
education,
Jeffrey Epstein estate, whether it be done by the New York
such as
Times and other
Groypers,
reporters who are just going
who
to keep digging,
famously
keep digging,
hate
and keep digging,
Charlie Kirk,
that we have
which has
some
like
transparency.
every
And I
young
honestly
narcissist
hope
who
that
doesn't
Donald
really know
Trump,
much.
did not participate in any criminal activity, because it'd be extremely embarrassing and
Like,
humiliating.
if there was
for the
more
United
evidence,
States if he
the FBI
was.
would have it by now, and they
I
haven't
don't
found
know if
anything.
we ever really be able to.
The science is just
live
another
that
like
down.
nihilist.
So I do hope the information comes out. I hope we have some
Yeah, like no one
transparency on it,
really cared
and
about Charlie
we should
Kirk.
get more than the grand jury testimony.
Well, cool. Thank you, Dylan. And last but not least, closing us out, Andrew Wilson. Would you like to shout yourself out and give your closing arguments?
Yeah, my name is Andrew Wilson, the host of The Crucible. Again, I'm a political analyst, political satirist. I also like to engage in debates of all different types all across the world. I don't take any of this personally. I want
Look
you
up the
guys to know
Newsmax
that. I've
coverage.
debated with
Look
Dylan
up the
enough times,
Newsmax
probably
coverage,
does know
okay?
that.
That's as far right as
He
it
has a
comes.
thick skin too about most of this shit, so I don't take any of it personally.
Why doesn't even
I
Newsmax
appreciate all of you being
say
here.
anything?
So for my closing, a couple things. First, I'll clarify very quickly my position on a couple things, since you attacked me on my credibility here, Dylan. It's always been my position that universal suffrage is a mistake. It's not gender specific. I think that limiting suffrage is a good idea for the United States. It's always been my consistent position. The only reason you attribute these other positions to me is, like most leftists, you're a fucking liar, never pay attention to a word I say.
No,
So
like
the
Orders
thing
Mellon, like,
is
do you
like
understand? You
that's
have a
what most leftists
hypothesis,
do. They
and it's a
just
valid
fucking lie
hypothesis, but
about
you
the
can't
things that I
substantiate
actually
it.
believe,
The
just
FBI
like they
can't
lie about the
substantiate
things
it.
Kirk actually believes, lie about the things Trump actually believes. You're all a bunch of fucking liars. So I actually have the clip here of me on whatever saying this like 50 times, by the
This
way.
liar literally went
And you
directly
guys
against
still
the
attribute
facts
that to
reported
me.
across
Sounds
the
like
board
something you'd
of the
say.
FBI
Oh, look, it
investigation.
should be able to- No, it's limiting the
I don't
universal
watch you all that
suffrage.
much. I just talk to you on these panels, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Dylan,
yeah.
all right, hey,
So
don't
anyway-
interrupt the, don't
So
interrupt.
anyway, well, I mean,
Sorry to
that was a
dishonor you.
fair interruption, but I'm just pointing this out, that this is exactly why people don't trust left wingers. You think the thousands upon thousands of people
Because people
watching
believe
live
right wing
right this
lies, but look,
second
like there's
go like,
literally no
"What is
evidence.
this
Look up the
fucking guy
Newsmax
talking
article,
about?"
okay?
Yet
Look at the
you'll still
Newsmax
attribute
article.
this
You know
as
that's right
though
wing
you
source. You
said
should
it,
trust that.
because that's what you leftists
Why do they
the
also
right
repeat the
wingers
same
constantly. Now that
facts?
draws the parallel for this entire
If it was a left wing bias, it would only be on left wing sources.
Now, what's really funny
The
here is
FBI
we
has
actually
nothing.
have a
And if
lot
they
of
did, we
agreement
all
with the
know they would
leftists
meme
on
about
the
it. It
panel.
would be
We all want
shot
to
all
see
over the
these
place
files
in memes.
released,
Like,
right? We
be
all
rubbed in
want to see
everyone's
these
face.
files released. We do.
And I mean, I
But
think a
you
killer should
see
be
that
brought to
they're
justice,
doing
but
this
there's
in the
no
way,
evidence that it's a
that would
leftist. There's no
maximize, there'd be
substantiation.
maximum amount of
You would see it.
demonization to the right, and especially to Trump.
It'd be on
When
every
none of
news
their
channel.
fucking presidents were going to release shit, and William Jefferson Clinton was likely over on the Lolita Express himself. They don't give a shit about this issue.
Like, please,
They
please don't. Like,
never
I mean,
give
I'm
a
just talking
shit
about facts.
this issue. They only give
Like,
a shit about trying to demonize
What do you mean?
right-wingers
Like, do you not believe
with
the
this
FBI?
issue. We all
It's
know
Trump's
that that's
FBI.
the truth. It's been
Do
the
you not
truth
like Trump? Do you not support
since
Trump?
this thing kicked
He's
off.
Trump's
They don't
guy. Like, it's
care.
Trump's all
There's
Trump's guys. They're all
multitudes
partisan
of
loyalists.
reports that I have of various
Why don't they have anything?
left-wingers who have high social
wouldn't you
status
believe the
in
FBI?
left-wing media saying that they basically don't care about the issue.
Like, this
but
is your
they
narrative
use it
that leftist,
against,
and like they can't
the
substantiate
right,
it. Like that,
especially
please, just like
against,
have some self-awareness there.
MAGA, because
Why is
MAGA is the ones, the people who are the evil guys. They were the
No,
ones
like, look it up.
spearheading the demand for
Look
the
it up
release
from
of these
Newsmax.
documents because they wanted to shut down anything like Pedophile Island. That's what they wanted to do. So it was nice to entertain the various hypotheticals, but back over here,
This
to
guy
this guy,
loves his hypotheticals.
look, I can engage in hypotheticals and entertain them without them being my actual position. This entire
This
debate
guy
wasn't
loves
even a debate. It
hypotheticals.
was just an expression of
Not even like for a
opinions
logical
that we
point.
all
He's
have
just
based
trying
on
to
pure speculation. The whole thing
you
was
know,
designed to engage in hypothetical, and yet you still
engage in
foolishly
propaganda.
attributed
Is he
these
one of like the
as
Russian
though they're
Times
our
guys? I don't
positions,
know.
which was very stupid.
But he
With
went out of his
that,
way
I'll
to
give
try
my
and like
time. I
slander
appreciate all
Ukraine,
of
which
you
is
guys
wholly
having me
unrelated.
up here. It was very
And that's
fun
the
to
consistent
talk to all
agenda
of
by
you,
all of the
except
right-wing
for Andrew,
creators
JD.
who've been found
Stop
to
being
be
an
on the
imposter,
payroll
no
of
imposter Andrews allowed. There can only be, it's
Russia.
highly
Like they were
rules,
taking
brother.
Russian
There's only
money with
one.
various degrees of self-awareness, as far as I'm aware.
All right. Thank you all for being here. That was a spicy time, but I appreciate you all. Thank you all for making the time to be here. It means the world to me, and I hope to have more panels like this in the future if any of you are interested in participating. If you want to support the show, check out RileyGraceRochong.com, and you can get merch and Subscribble and all that sort of stuff. And that's all I got. Everyone have a good night.
Thanks for having me. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
So if there's any people here from that Andrew guy's community, I want you to know, like, yeah, like that guy's kind of a loser, and he's saying lots of like just bad things that aren't funny. They aren't really jokes. Like there are bullies who are not very smart, and there are lots of like bad stand-up comedians, right? They think they're making jokes, but it's really just bullying. Like if someone pantses someone else, people will laugh, but they're not actually laughing because it's really funny or a joke. They're laughing because it's like kind of an impulse response to like, haha, don't come after me next, right? So like there are people who have that just low-level bully mindset who aren't very self-aware and aren't very socially skilled, who grow up thinking they're funny or cool, but they're really not. They're just not, and it's like coming from a lot of insecurity and this like need to kind of be the biggest bully around, and like that's the kind of thing. So like when these people say like, oh, it's just a meme, it's not funny. It's just trying to bully people and also kind of a dog whistle. Like it's always a meme until it's not. And then he got called out and he can't actually defend it. Like there's no substance to what he said. There's nothing to know there. Like there really is not nothing. There's nothing to know there. Those people you can find very commonly. They're not very impressive, but like he is making money doing this, and he's clearly several of them have come into my chat. These are like antisocial incel type communicators. This is part of the pipeline that leads young men to be alone and crash out. Like seriously, like it's bad. And I care about people having good outcomes. I've made several videos talking about this. Like, you know, when I don't really like to use the word feminist because like I care about like gender equality, and I realize the word feminist pushes some people away. And like, you know, when young men are failures and they're angry and they can't like build relationships, they make that everyone else's problem, like on a level of danger, like not only harassment, but it escalates to murder. And that's where you get lots of radical extremist shooters coming from. And so, yeah. And I mean, like I support, honestly, I think the R pipeline, I think the origins of the culture war started with results of like boomer establishment evangelical conservatives over a series of years defunding extracurricular activities. And then that kind of loneliness and failure and insecurity led them into these communities, like where they would take advice from losers who they saw as older mentor figures. And it doesn't work. It's not good advice because there's a reason why those people are there in the first place. Just honestly. like, be aware of where you're getting your life advice and modeling your sense of responsibility on and success, and consider why they might be doing that. Like, that guy, I'm sure, is making a lot of money being very mean to women and then trying to send out little drones to, like, harass people. Where's the evidence that he's a lefty? Like, why doesn't the FBI, why doesn't Trump's loyalist FBI substantiate that claim? It would be such a political slam dunk if they could, but they can't. They really can't. The last one, well, it was actually the same day as the Charlie Kirk thing. It was a radicalized neo-Nazi who went into a school. It's pretty messed up, right? I don't like that. I think we need violence to end. I saw an article just the other day, like, actually it was like the last like 31 violent political attacks were like right-wingers. And I just want it all to end. Like, I'm not here to just like point a jeer at the party. I'm here to, what are the core underlying problems here? And what happens is, it's like, you know, lonely young men who grow up typically in conservative influences, and aren't given support. They're just told to kind of be strong and like not acknowledge it or get help. And like, you know, in conservative environments, their schools aren't well funded. They don't have a lot to do, and they're alone and lost and aimless in high school. And then after that, like, if they do go to college, they might like crash out, because even if they can like do math class, they don't have life skills. It's bad. Like, it's a bad problem. I'm not, you know, I'm being pretty earnest here. I want that to stop. I want them to have better opportunities and better outcomes. And it's weird, because then like you get these people online, like you, like, I don't know what your thing is here. Like, what do you gain from this? Why are you spending your time this way? Have you actually reflected on that? Like, is it just kind of the feeling like you want to feel like you made a change in the world or did something or interacted with people? And why don't you have people in real life? Those are the kinds of things. It doesn't seem like I haven't seen any evidence that it's like a definite hardline in-group groiper, but there are like far more signs of like a general kind of nihilistic cocktail of like loose peripheral grouper influences to someone who is personally very nihilistic, and felt kind of alienated from their conservative peers. I haven't even actually seen verification that the partner is trans, is really like more like femboy kind of things, which is also a far right certified classic. But also, like, I mean, you know, to the extent, thank you for subscribing, Gertie's Realism. But to the extent that even something like a partner would matter as enough of a motive, why not then the parents? Why not the grandparents? Why not the hometown or the church community they were in, or even the college they went to for 6 months and then like dropped out after like one semester, which was like a far conservative leaning school, with the Mormon influences. Like, there are so many influences pointing the other way, and I don't think either is like sufficient to prove anything, but that's the point. Like, you need proof, you need logs that are interacting with certain kinds of people, and it's just not there. He had a lot of friends. He was into gaming and hunting, and they were like kind of shocked that their friend did that. But yeah, there's like just not evidence there. And I care about actually, like, what's concerning to me is you have all these right-wing grifters who are kind of lonely, and they take it out on like women, and they're getting money from like also lost young boys, subscribe to them and like pay them in droves, because those young men need role models, and they're kind of manipulating that relationship, and they are the ones really pushing a political narrative here, which is concerning because they don't have proof for it, but they kind of like want some justification for the political ideologies they're pushing. And yeah, like even things like Bella Ciao, like I know that's like a historical, I've read up on that. Isn't that like a historical 40s Italian anti-fascist thing? The thing is, if you've ever met like an IRL young white American leftist, they're very clear to call themselves leftists, and they shit on and hate everyone else. Okay, all normal Americans. I'm a normal American. I don't associate with those people. They do not actually read books. They are not historically literate. They're not. They don't know these things. So even though there is historical precedent of something like Bella Ciao being associated with like some leftist movements, in the modern historical practical environment, like these are not related phenomena, not directly. But what is a clear tie is songs like that come up in some like historical FPS video games that are enjoyed by young men in kind of alt-right and alt-right adjacent circles. That's why, like, it's not a direct thing. And like either way, you know, neither of that is sufficient evidence to prove anything. Who is Antifa? Like, you guys know that's not like an organization, right? Like the whole thing, if you talk, is this common ground? I will say this, like a lot of leftists are like insufferable. Their whole thing, if you ever hear someone who calls themselves an anarchist, they will not shut up about, they hate being a part of any big organization, anything hierarchical, anything structured. Because a lot of them, it's just like oppositional defiance disorder. I think a lot of you guys probably had that too. Yeah, so like they don't read. They don't subscribe to any formal education or like organization or anything like that. I mean, like it's the same story we've seen since the 90s, since like Columbine, right? And it's a bad thing. It's a pattern, and I wish you could see that's a pattern. Why is it always so many white men? Why is it young white men? And I'm saying that not to like condemn, but like they need help. Like clearly society has missed something. And I think it's in the way that we handle lots of crime in Black communities, and have taken a look at that because it's in physical space, and because Black people are doing it, we're more willing to be like, oh, this is a problem, and look at it and do something about it. But in digital spaces, boomers don't really know. The internet isn't like a thing or an activity. It's a space where you can do anything. So we're seeing similar patterns replicate themselves among lost, isolated young white boys and men looking for community. And, you know, that's when they end up in extremist far-right spaces. Like, that's where that comes from. And we never addressed that. It started as cries for help, and then it escalated. No, like, they have... It's like saying that, like, the Kekistan flag means, like, they have their own flag. Or, like, Pepe means they have, like, a symbol. That doesn't mean there's a formal organization. Like, it's the same sort of thing. It's just memes. And if you, like, really believe that, like, I'm kind of sad for you. Like, no one's attacking you here. Like, no one's angry here. Like, I just kind of... It's weird, and, like, I pity you a little bit. Like, I'm not sure why you're so focused on... It's not liberals. Like, we have the data. Like, half of them are, like, neo-Nazis, or, like, 4chan neo-Nazi adjacent. And then there's lots of kind of nihilists, too. 75% of political violence is committed by right-wingers. The studies were actually done by libertarian think tanks. They have a right-leaning slant, which is why they also put, like, Islamic terror as, like, a separate group, which is, like, very conservative, but I guess it's a different trend of it. Where does Malum? Like, are you okay? Like, I'm trying to engage with you in conversation here. Like, I'm happy to talk to you about this. And it's weird. This is weird, right? Like, you've talked to people before. And it's the commitment to, like, saying a thing versus, like, like, that's weird. I don't know. It's just kind of lonely. Whatever. Oh, is that what Marx was talking about? Is that why lots of... Because I noticed, like, the Marxist groups are also, like, it's all just, like, dorky white young kids in college, but for the most part. But there's, like, a bit more gender diversity, at least. I just think, like, I actually care about stuff, and I want people to have good, happy, fulfilled lives and, like, be productive members of society instead of, like, become terrorists. Like, I think that's pretty normal. And I see other people just wildly posture about, like, hating women and then, like, not even be enough of a man to own up to his positions. I just think that's sad. Like, that's just weak. I don't know. Who's he doing that for? Like, who's he trying to appease there? I don't know. But yeah. Why do you think they're liberals? Like, who told you that? Like, where do you get your news from? And, like, here's a problem, actually. Like, with Columbine onwards, we were quick to point out, like, oh, it's, like, bullying or whatever. And, like, they were black. And it's that punk music, which wasn't the case. And it was, like, they're doing it for attention. Like, it wasn't for attention. We've learned more. We've seen more. There were neo-Nazi influences. They wrote about them, happily. And I think that's sad. I just think, like, young boys and men have They need like better opportunities because hate is always an option. There will always be like the types of people who in like the 70s and the 80s were kind of like a loser older stoner brother or uncle or something who would like live in a basement and just like rattle off conspiracy theories are now kind of like podcast bro thought leaders because anyone can reach them. And it's easy to think they're credible because like the environments they're in. Oh gosh, no, Marxists will never shut up about this, okay? Because look, I will hate on Marxists with you. Would that make you happy? Because like Marxists do not at all associate themselves with liberals. That's their number one favorite thing. They love that for some reason. I don't. It's weird. Marxists are kind of just like mainly trying to do like a kind of a consumerist culture, like a label of their flexing about like how cool and perfect they are as a person with their theoretical ethics, but like they don't do anything. And if they're like, I want everyone to like have enough money to live, like I don't know, that's a cool idea, I guess. Can you make it happen? No? Okay. Come to the table. Like, nothing's going to be handed to you. You feel hated by women just for existing? That sucks, dude. I don't hate you just for existing. $43? Dude, that's rough. Like, I don't know. It's never too late to build relationships. All right, Neil Dragon. Like, I see there's like a lot of personal, like, real stuff. I'm not gonna like, belittle your experience there. Like that's rough. Like I can see why that's rough. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it hurts to not have like the support of a two-parent household. I know that can make a difference. Yeah, Christian ethics though, I'm not sure what that exactly means. You mean like actual traditional Christian ethics or like evangelical American ethics that are descended from Puritanism? I've read the Bible. Like I've read pretty much every holy book and political book. I'm curious. I don't necessarily like endorse any of them, but I do like in good faith to understand what people are talking about and what they care about and why. Andrew didn't really have an argument. He just liked hearing himself talk, and that was kind of weird. He just kept going in circles. That's good. I'm glad you're close to your mother. Yeah. And one thing I'm not sure about is like I don't know. Look, I don't know what that relationship was like. I don't know what happened there. I don't know. I'm not sure if you're just taking like your dad's word for it or you've heard her side too. Sometimes people are just people and everyone makes mistakes. I don't think that's necessarily like feminism, I think a lot of people who even use political labels don't actually believe them or stand by them. In the wake of the Charlie Kirk thing, I've seen a lot of people like who claim to be Christian start kind of selling out to like political agendas like over the church, and it's been kind of very uncomfortable to watch. I have like a lot of friends who are different types of Christian, and they've all been kind of like weirded out by it. It's kind of a gross. I don't know. It felt a little bit like idiocracy. It was just a weird direction to go. I feel like some things should kind of be sacred. Like if it's meant to be sacred, be sacred. You are like a lefty? Like what kind? There's a lot of kinds. They have changed? They have changed. I'll agree with that. I mean, would it like help you at all if I like talked about that more? Because I cringe at a lot of lefty communities these days. Like I'm not with them. Hardly let Andrew talk, bud. But did you like look at a clock? Like you have a bias there, and it's not even just like necessarily about the content they said, but like literally the time period. It's rough. It's rough. Like that dude, it was a little he was jorking it real slow. Even if someone had my same exact beliefs, if they spoke as much as he did, I would be like, stop. It's just not respectful social behavior. And in general, like, especially the stuff he said about women and a bunch of other stuff, like, he didn't seem to have a good handle on, like, social behavior. He was acting kind of like a bit like I don't know, like a bully, like a middle school bully, kind of grown up. Which maybe that's most of his target audience. I don't know. I don't know much about the guy. But I've seen people like that before, and they're sad people. The cigarettes. I mean, that's his right. But yeah, no, I have like low blood pressure and stuff, and like some lung issues, so that's why I have like a little cough sometimes, that's why I hydrate a lot because I burn through my energy, and I work hard. I love hard work. I literally like fallen over and hurt myself before because I'll just push and push and push, and then I forget to like eat or drink. Yeah. Work hard, play hard. Yeah, I mean, it was just really bad faith. Like, there's nothing wrong about being frustrated by someone who's like being a weak liar, you know? And especially to claim values of like kind of conservatism, which I think at its core, like old school conservatism had a lot of value to it that I really like and appreciate. This kind of like, I don't would make fun of you for like real mature adults, and even like lots of like like masculine macho men would be like, it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks, do the right thing, stick true to your values. I think that's a good value. I really do like that. Why though? I mean, he doesn't respect women, and that's on him. That's meant to be an equal conversation, and unless everyone was jumping in and trying to like interject, he would just go off. He'd say, "Can I have a second?" and then cut to 5 minutes later, and he's just writing more fan fiction about international spy thriller shit. But that's the thing, like, why is he putting on that act? Like, I'll be honest, I was like actually like upset to see someone lie and waffle and not think that the US should be held to a higher standard. And I really do think, like, thinking, and like, I would stand by that. Like, a lot of liberals and leftists, I don't think you understand how much, like, Pete Hegseth, widely alleged to be an alcoholic, has leaked secure messages and accidentally invited on like platforms they shouldn't have been using for those communications, and then invited a journalist to that. And the journalist was like, "Hey, here's what they're talking about. They're like planning military strikes," and then they just showed me. That is like a complete negligence of duty, of like national security. And I think we need to be tough on crime, and they're just dropping it. Oh, what's that lady? She has dark hair and has like a white streak in it. She's from Hawaii, and she was like, "I'm a Democrat. I'm a cool one," and then she kind of flipped. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is a security threat to the United States. We need to take that very seriously. And these are like, mainstream political security organizations are like, she is compromised. Don't trust her. Don't give her stuff. She's not responsible. She's not. And I think that's worth it. That's bipartisan. There's a lot of things actually that, I mean, if you actually saw like Democratic, like mainstream kind of news media, I think matter. Like, I really think matter. And a lot of people are like, okay with them, respect. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's cool. He helped not to erudite. You can't open a pickle jar. Yeah, I don't know. He was smoking a lot. I don't know. I just thought like, look, I do value like meritocracy, the like good ideas, the free market. If you have to kind of take up that much space being obnoxious and trying to put people down for their identities, like, I don't think that's good. I don't think you have good ideas. I think like you are so worried about you need to be a bully and occupy space that you don't believe in your own ideas. And I think that's weak. And I think that's disrespectful to all of the people who like watch him and actually think he's honest. But that's escalation. That's not respectful behavior. Like, if you give any hint of disrespect and equals full force. Like, no, he was saying awful shit about women. That's not warranted. That's not respectful. He was smoking all right. Yeah, boring PBS news. And I don't, by the way, to be honest, like, I read news across the political spectrum. I like to do that. Like, I've seen so many, like, weak, lazy, populist lefties who, like, flit about, and they just channel, they get their news from, like, lefty talking heads. I hate that. I look at like the subreddits for every different major political ideology, and then I find all the top trending articles, and I read those articles in full, like from the actual news sources, and then I read all of the Reddit comments under them, so I see what different people think about things. I'm not going to waste my time on like some lefty circle jerk that no one else cares about or agrees with them on. I don't. I've not said awful shit about Charlie Kirk. You can look. But that's the thing. If that macho arrogance thing is an act, I don't like that. I don't trust that. I think he's letting down his viewers who believe in him and look to him as a role model. I think he should be responsible for that. I think he's disrespectful to everyone else in a conversation. Like that old middle guy he was like, I'm a constitutional conservative. I wanted to hear what that guy had to say. I think he believes in certain things for a certain reason. And the fact that he brought up things like, what about England? I think shows that like he's actually curious and exploring that. It's not just debate style. It's like just being a dick, you know? Like, and I think there's a difference there. Because I like comedy. I love comedy. I love watching stand-up specials and stuff. And there's like a big difference between the guys who are like, comedy isn't legal now. And it's like, no, you're just like being a dick and you're not funny enough to justify that. Versus someone who's like really funny and then can say something inappropriate but still get away with it. Oh gosh, like a couple years ago on like SNL, there's like Michael Che and Callan Jost, right? And Callan Jost is like white. And so they wrote lots of like racist jokes that they made him read just to watch him be uncomfortable. And that's something where like that's an edgy topic, but like well executed and I think in good faith, not like actually seriously being racist. The joke is, can we make him uncomfortable? But that's not like actually pushing a message. That's aware in the context. Comedy's hard and it's a service industry. The communication is important. Yeah, the middle guy had a code, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but I respect someone who believes things for reasons and can talk about them more. His wife? He has one? That's a stretch. I'm sorry for her. I don't know. Like, I feel like you should be able to be proud of your partner and like support your partner and like, yeah, my partner's doing awesome stuff because I pick awesome people who do awesome stuff. And I just think, I don't know. Whatever, to each their own. Just a little weird. Yeah, like it's not about being cutthroat and macho. It's about like honest engagement, and I don't think he was giving honest engagement. But even that, like, see those models. I see Golden 22. You said we ain't really chilling. We're just having a conversation for LOL. Think about your words. You know, what impact do those have? Why do you say them? Is that respectful? Is it actually funny? Like those are two different things. Those are two different things. You can be edgy and funny. You can be funny without being edgy, and you can be edgy without being funny, and you can be neither. I think too many people on the left are happy to be neither. Yikes. Oh, his wife? Yikes. His wife thinks women shouldn't vote? Yikes. What's her education? Being kind to your enemies is the Bible. Yeah, here's the thing. I'm not a Christian. I've read the Bible. I like to understand people and know things. I do think lots of evangelical American Christianity is really built more on a myth of kind of Americana and like other historical values, and not actually the same as like direct faith. It's different, even though they both call themselves the same thing. But I do like the Bible. I think it's cool. I think Jesus is awesome and like a role model. There's a lot of stuff about like patience there and pro-social behavior. I think that's like important. And what I see is in the kind of modern, highly populated world of today, I think of cells being part of an organism. And how we all have to kind of get along and grow together. And if you know how cancer works, cancer is what happens when a cell starts hoarding resources. Like, I got to get bigger. I'm going to be the biggest cell and I'm going to grow the most. But it's like not aware of everything else. And it's like toxic. Like it's taking from everything else. And that's what a tumor grows to be. And it's just like a bug. It's purely selfish at the expense of everything else until it like bursts and it can just actually like end you. That's a problem. I think there are some people who are like so antisocial and just in it for themselves that they do the same thing to society as a whole, to the concept of nation as a whole. I don't know about like that specific type of Judaism. I read the Torah once. I don't know. I mean, none of this is fiction. I mean, well, here's the thing I think about. Yeah, I think what's going on in Gaza is terrible, and I think it's reached the bar for genocide. I was kind of like a late come around to that train. I thought kind of by like the 2024 election, it was like lots of war crimes. I didn't know if it met that full burden. I thought Netanyahu has more to gain from like just making things generally bad, but never actually going all the way because he's kind of like a war hawk, and that's where he gets a little political power. Like he needs that to exist. But I think by kind of dragging out agreeing to a ceasefire and then hoping for a Trump win, and then he got a Trump win, now he has full license to just do whatever he wants. And I think no one's going to stop him, and he's going to get to live his whole life in power, doing whatever he wants. And it's bad. And people are getting hurt. Like people are dying, innocent people. And that's heartbreaking to me. Throughout history, Jewish people and Palestinian people are like two of the biggest like bullying victims in the history of the world. These are groups that have been exiled and driven out and killed across the world. There's a reason both groups now are desperately clinging to like a desert, and Palestinians are suffering. Like it's suffering from the people who might be uniquely qualified to have empathy for the situation they're in. That is so heartbreaking. And it's this like cycle of abuse that it's just bad. It's just bad. And it's like above politics. I think there's data coming out, like every political faction is now like in support of Palestine, as they should. It's just not worth it. It's not a kind way to live. It's not any godly way to live. It's such a horrible bastardization of every faith and moral school of thought for the sake of like warfare. And that's bad. Yeah, like I'm not here to judge anyone. Yeah, well, Palestinians have been kind of penned in. And there's a reason too. Like you think the Middle East is largely, like Arab populations and Muslim populations. Why aren't Palestinians allowed to be refugees there? Because it's heartbreaking. Palestinians are also hated. Like there's no, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And even the fact that like, yeah, I think with founding the Israeli state, it's a complicated history. And I hate lots of lefties who think something started on October 7th. This is not only like the past century of formalized hurt around the formation of Israeli and Palestine like states, in the post-colonialism world, but before that, like the whole history to the ancient world, it's just this legacy of people just trying to live and be themselves and worship how they want to worship. And it's like, it's just, I don't know. There are topics that are spoken about probably more on the left and more in kind of college level discussions of like academic spaces of mental health and like generational trauma, where like if you were abused as a child and you grew up, there's a more likely chance you will then become an abuser. And that's heartbreaking. The people who have been through it normalize that. That's a reference point, so they're more likely to do it. And it just, I don't know. It's such a heartbreaking, complicated situation. I'm not a Christian. I'm not Jewish. I'm not a Muslim, but people deserve to live, man. Hurt people hurt people. One thing I do think is kind of funny though, and this is because I'm not like terminally online and conservative, but I've had some friends who have at times like dipped into far right for whatever reason in like little extents, and they come out with like, honestly, like they have lots of European friends, and will have, as far as I'm aware, like one of a kind, unique, hyper specific forms of like not only just racism but like weird hot geopolitical takes that feel kind of like talking about arguing soccer teams. And I'm just like, whatever, dude. I don't know. You're not going to do something about that. You're not actually politically engaged. But like, there's just this sort of political thing. Would you believe me? I know I have curly hair, and I've had several people on TikTok, I think grippers, because I stirred them a little bit, were calling me Jewish. Guys, I'm German American. My ancestors did some things I don't approve of. But like That is what that is. And I can't change that. Yeah, Palestinians are indigenous to that land. But I don't know. I live a happy life. I try to stand up for other people, even if they're not like me. I'm a lesbian. But yeah. I'm here in good faith because I've seen basically like the political landscape over my lifetime fall to really bad things. And I've seen lots of people on the left think they're fighting epic battles about specific political topics and play into those narratives. But what they don't realize is that like it's all a lot of it is in kind of bad faith from the right, from like lots of young hurt men who've just been alone and like basically have suffered downstream of sexist cultural upbringings, and then also education defunding, like extracurricular defunding. They don't have a sense of community through something like a after school program or anything. Like they're not in like the scouts or whatever. Like they're not on a sports team. They just end up following like online kind of grifters who feed them weird masculinity narratives, but these people themselves like don't live by their what they say. And that just I feel like that's so bad. And the same reason I get mad at like lefties. I get mad at lefties because they there's a group of young people who start getting curious about the world and they want to be a good person and make change. And a lot of them can get sidelined then into like whether that's a grifter streamers or like social cliques that are just using that to kind of be gatekeepy or like get money from that. And like all this like will to change gets derailed and like the energy sucked out for like other private like personal gain. Does that make sense? And that's like heartbreaking, you know, and I'm like, no, they wanted to do something. They could have built a community garden. They could have, you know, got one dork elected in their town who's just like, I just want to build a train. And then instead they end up like bullying everyone for not being like the right kind of Marxist Leninist. And then they achieve nothing and then they kind of burn out. And I think they also become losers. No Child Left Behind is interesting. It's complicated, actually. It's complicated. And this is a situation where I think as we were getting into this formalized partisan new media sphere, No Child Left Behind is a fascinating case study. No Child Left Behind was an initiative pushed by the Bush administration, and it was a little more noble than we think, actually. I don't think George Bush was very smart growing up. And that's not to criticize him. I think he used that with like radical empathy. And I think genuinely they're like, hey, what's a good cause we could push? And, you know, the cultural landscape was very much like Democrats are cool. Like, what's something everyone will like? In the same way Joe Biden is like, let's do boring infrastructure because that's like everyone can kind of agree on that. And he's like, hey, let's do like education because kids should be smarter. And we're getting all these new technologies and computers. And like all adults at the time didn't know how that works. Are our kids up to speed for the 21st century? That's a great mission. And the goals of fairness there were also very good. The execution was bad. Like it led to lots of teaching to the test and nothing else, which didn't allow for deep learning, and it had some pitfalls. At the same time, though, lots of people on the left, including like mostly honestly, like lots of teachers are like 30s, 40s white women who are very liberal. And so they were already predisposed to think, okay, what the Bush administration is doing, which is a generally true, I think, safe assumption to make, are supporting big business, like those kinds of interests, like it's private personal gain. They probably don't actually have a good intent here. And we probably shouldn't trust those materials. So they did what they had to comply with No Child Left Behind. But there's this great podcast called Sold a Story. That's like NPR or something boring like that. Like they got funding. It was some like investigative journalist. And there was this one lady who was like, I have a better way to teach kids how to read. Instead of phonics, it's just like word recognition of just like, which it helps. It's an extra supplemental tool that can help kids who are really struggling to read and falling behind get up to speed a little bit. But that's a supplemental tool. That's not like as good as the main thing. It's like this little extra bonus. And so they said, hey, we should just do this little extra thing and not the whole thing. Anthony Farish, are you okay? I'm not like dog whistling there. Like, no, like, it's no surprise, like, the right wing just supports big ass industries. And I'm not, like, that's not political. The Bush is, what? Whatever. I think you're trolling. Yeah. So this one, yeah, sight reading, that's what it is. Yeah. So they would look at like just the first letter of the word and then like look at the context of the item. And so if you saw a bag of chips and then there's a word on it that started with a C, you'd think, oh, it's probably the word chips, and you just fill in the blank. So it would be all these shortcuts that weren't actually understanding what you were reading. They weren't actually sounding out the words. They weren't actually learning like the system for reading. And they just started doing that and then shopping that around to different schools. It was like a for-profit little company that was like, hey, we're going to, we have a new program to sell your English classes. And it did help some kids in like the lower bracket get up, but it was not comprehensive. And so through like the late 90s, kind of through the 2000s, this was like wildfire all over schools. And most teachers who were like, this No Child Left Behind thing is bad, this is the alternative, so clearly it's good, leaned into it super hard and fell for it. What we're seeing now with the TikTok Gen Z generation growing up, they can't actually read. They will get close, but they're not actually seeing words and sounding them out and understanding letters. They're just guessing and filling in blanks. And you can just show like a Gen Z kid or like a Gen Alpha kid, like a can of something with like a label. I have a water bottle here, like Deer Park. And they'll be like, oh, that says bottle. And it just doesn't. And it's a problem. It's like a fundamental, we've skipped a building block and it's bad. So return to phonics. Phonics are actually good. Phonics are awesome. Yeah, there were huge financial incentives to teach to the test. And that was really, really bad. It makes sense to want to reward schools that are working with more money. Because if you're trying to figure out, hey, what's working? How do we run a good school? Invest in what's working and see what they do with it. And then what you're supposed to do, the step 2 that never came, is look at that pattern. Like when, like, hey, some people are doing it right. We're not only are we rewarding them, teaching their kids better, but then we're getting like a copy. We're like, I don't know what to do. I'm not going to pretend to know what to do. You seem to be onto something though. Here, do whatever you want, and I'm going to watch you. The step 2 is you're supposed to take notes on what they do and then start doing the methods that work everywhere else. That didn't happen. So instead, we got this greater division of like, people who didn't know what they're doing had less money to keep doing the same worst stuff. And people who were doing well kept going up, and it split. Even in a school, in the same school, the higher performing students and lower performing students ended up being treated very differently. Oh, of course, teaching with phonics is less fun. But yeah, you'll see like, I don't know, students who perform poorly on tests end up literally becoming like sort of demonized by teachers because their own paychecks and like school classroom funding is on the line. And so like that builds a resentment of your children you're supposed to help the most. And then the good kids like me got like elite treatment, woo-woo. And then like one day I had a doctor's appointment during a test. And then like the next week I got called into the auditorium with all the bad kids. And I saw how horribly they spoke to them. I'm like, I have my backup test like already scheduled out like another day. Like I was just out sick. And like, oh, I'm so sorry, you can go. Because I was a nerd, if that's not obvious. Phonics is more effective. Phonics is more effective. It's good, it worked. So like No Child Left Behind, it's a mixed bag of some good things and some bad things. It's not one or the other, but it was like so politicized. That's what everyone fell for. And we lost a lot of good kids who are now not smart adults. And I want American kids to be smart. I think education funding is like a silver bullet that would fix so many problems. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad teachers are able to help you with that. Wow. Here's another weird thing. Okay, here's a policy you see from lots of liberals and progressives. They should just pay for all kids to have school lunches. All right? And then lots of people like moderates and conservatives will be like, hey, that's just going to cost too much money. And yeah, that would be nice, but like we don't have the money for that. And parents can afford it. They can make it work. Here's the thing though, like it's literally cheaper to just give kids the lunches than to have to set up the like transaction pay for it systems, to have to like keep track of which kids are in debt and like track that down. It's literally cheaper. And I know that sounds weird, but thank you for subscribing, Mary Garnett. But there are some weird policies that are like, no, you wouldn't believe it until you looked into it, but it's like, oh, this is worth doing. Like everyone should just be for this. This is a good thing. And also it's nice. It's cool. I don't know. If you're 7 and you can't eat, like, I'm not gonna tell you to get a job. It's just a peanut butter sandwich. It's fine. How do other countries succeed with their standardized tests while we failed? I think a lot of it comes down to support networks. A lot of it is support networks. Anthony Farish, you're doing a lot of weird kind of graper stuff. Not a fan of that. Like, respect people. Don't conspiracize. I'm happy to talk about like actual policies and ideas here. Genuinely. Like, I do want people to learn and do well. And I hope you see that. That's in good faith. That's what I believe. Just, it's weird. It's weird. You're just weird to be saying that kind of thing about people. We have a lot of funding for education, but it's not working because we don't know how to spend money. And there's some things beyond just like money in the classroom. In other cultures like Japan, I think is pretty good education. There are strong structures of support. Socially, they have multi-generational homes. Like lots of other cultures have multi-generational homes, where, you know, grandparents and parents and then kids, and you all kind of like take care of each other, and like you have people watching over you and like giving you help and tutoring and making sure you're like, no, you're going to spend several hours after school and study instead of just like, I don't know, go on TikTok, whatever. So that's one thing. Like, do they have support networks? And we can have those, and that doesn't mean we need to like force people into awful marriages that they'll hate. Like, trust me, that's not. No one wins there. Okay, that's just a bad. That's not. And it's like a weird fashy policy from like. I'm not calling every conservative fascist. That's like the Stephen Miller, like the weird ass, like, I don't know. We're gonna force people to have this kind of family. That's weird. That's fringe. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work for anyone. No one wants that. But like there are programs of having mentors, like whether it's social workers or like teachers, or like, you know, extracurricular coaches and stuff can give that extra support. Be like, hey, did you study? This is good. That works. Other cultures also, like Japan, have like higher pressure to, you got to get into a good school. So they like lay down that groundwork and then they build on that. Yeah, our tax dollars should go to schools, not to bomb them in Gaza. Agreed. Agreed. Anthony, are you okay, bud? Like, if you are, the best way thing is you would think on some level, if you're not totally self-aware, you'd think you're just like joking, but you are now making references to things no one else gets. It's like, it's weird. Like you're just, you're not, I don't know, take it down a notch. Like it's just a little cringe. Whatever. I mean, I'll let you be here because I think like a sense of community matters and it's important. We can talk about stuff, but yeah. Government mandated D&D groups. As someone who's volunteered and helped run gaming clubs actually in school, I've seen stuff like that actually helps. Like having that social network, some bonding activity and like repeated engagement and trust communication building activities, that has helped. I know a couple people. I'm a forever DM. I love D&D. I'm a game designer actually. I make tabletop RPGs. I have seen D&D groups save some lives. And they're usually the lives of like, honestly, like in college and stuff, like some like white men who are like young men who even like seem pretty put together and like very masculine. And it's all a front. Like they got an emptiness and a pain inside and they don't have a good home to go back to. And having that kind of purpose and community and something to like engage with and actually build some real friends like they haven't had before. A couple of them have like pulled me aside and been like, yeah, like, thank you. Like this is, you know, and that's awesome. And they're doing better now. Like they have relationships, they have jobs. I'm happy for them. Odds of the midterms being free and fair? Not good. Not good. But I think they're still winnable. It's worth trying. But that requires lots of bipartisan outreach. Here's a major political problem we have. We don't. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. There are some culture war issues where the left has failed to actually meet people where they're at and like have empathy and explain and get people on board on topics. And so a lot of people, even if they don't say anything publicly, bottle that up And I think in the same way someone could be like in the closet about like their identity or whatever, some people are in the closet about like some kind of bigoted beliefs they have too. And I think lots of that starts with just like honest questions. They haven't like had stuff explained well before, and they have some doubts and hesitations, and they're worried about like, well, if this goes the other way, or if it is bad, I don't know. I don't want to support that. I'm not on Twitter. Twitter is just full of bots. He says it's so bad. It's not worth it. So where was I? I got distracted. Yeah, so people can be in the closet about some bigoted beliefs. I think too many people realized when we elected Obama that meant racism is over and it's a magic wand and it's solved. A lot of people had trouble coping with Obama being president, including Donald Trump. And there was a lot of like unaddressed trauma and stuff there. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't control like RGR's server. I'm sorry. Maybe make my own server for call-in sometime, but yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. Can't get back in there. But you can ask it in chat. So like racism was bad, and a lot of boomers lashed out. In a way that like is bad. Obviously, I'm not endorsing that racism at all, but like we didn't think to understand these people, and we didn't notice how many of them were there. Since then, we've seen a number of people also like not like women and be like anti-feminist because a lot of pop feminism is just bad. Pop feminism just did a bad job. I will happily like absolutely. It was bad. In the same way, like you can't really have a legitimate conversation about quantum mechanics on like social media. You know, lots of boys try to like. You're just making stuff up. That's not actually science is real. It's hard. I think there's a reason feminism is actually like there's books and literature and it's taught in schools. Same with like LGBT issues were poorly explained, and then a bunch of cocky teenage lefties try to be like trans rights or you get the bat, and then like just completely face planted and alienated a lot of people who were like very otherwise reachable, and they took those feelings to the ballot box. I think we can win the midterms handily if we're honest about some conversations we need to have and go back to square one. And the more people who are like millennials and stuff who just grew up and got older and got educated and are like, I know all the woke stuff. That's great. Not everyone else has like seen or learned or heard or interacted with or knows or spoken to, or not everyone is them. And so a lot of lefties are some of the most like selfish Americans I've seen. They haven't contextualized that in the same way. I'm going to campus to debate. I don't know. And like so well, it's good to be like, yeah, we should have like economic like liberty and equality. Like everyone should have opportunity. I think that's nice. Universal health care. That sounds nice. I think we could do it. It seems like other countries have. But I try to not get cocky about like, this is good thing. Everyone knows good thing. And then like trip over my own confidence there. Project for a section of a state to revitalize it. I don't know what that entails. That's a very vague scope. Your state should still have like funding though for the year. Yeah, I don't know. Get involved in local government and ask them like what the holdup is. I have experience as a project manager also, and a lot of people will like want to do good things for good reasons. And if they say no, there's probably just a very boring, practical, real reason for that. Mexico has better healthcare than we do. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, we can have better healthcare. We should have better healthcare. I have medical issues. But yeah, I think we haven't really addressed a lot of the wounds from like Gamergate in full, not honestly. And we should. I think it's dumb to see a lot of liberals be like, oh, well, we just need to give up our policy and stop protecting people's rights. Like, no, it's a skill issue. You never actually took seriously and fought and convinced anyone that these rights are important or what they are or why they matter. You just kind of fumbled it and then like took credit and then gave it up. Um, yeah, I think universal healthcare though is a doable one and a worthwhile one. I think the Democrats are also losing because we have not clearly seen and have messaged like, here's a good policy idea, and this just helps people, and this is why, and this is the results in the data, and that's direct consequence of like this law that does this thing. That's there's none of that. There's none of that. Meanwhile, Republicans will brag about literally nothing. Republicans will make up things to brag about and make up things to be mad about. And that works. They get credit for it. Like, yeah, Republicans own almost all of the media now. What is it? Larry Ellison is going to own CNN and TikTok. Elon Musk owns Twitter. But yeah. I'm just kind of rambling. I'm also trying to work on getting to like monetize YouTube. I think that would be good. Yeah. Any other questions? Any other stuff we want to talk about? Are there still any of like the weird Andrew guys like people here? Because if so, like I hope you know I'm a person and I'm trying to talk normally to you and treat you as a normal person. Like I'm not getting triggered by nonsense. You know, I was pissed at his lies. But about myself, yeah, I have a background in like design, like digital media design and game design. I like that stuff. And then there was like a really, really awful article by like Taylor Lorenz, full of like bad faith dog whistles and misunderstandings that, as far as I'm aware, I think she wrote just to be petty against like some creators that didn't like her, and then ended up like just, I don't know, bastardizing a lot of good conversations with like completely ridiculous leftist infighting. And I'm like, meanwhile, the economy's about to crash. Hello? And then I was like, I'm just gonna start talking about stuff that actually matters online. I think of the developed countries, America has like embarrassingly bad healthcare. And here's where I'll give the right credit. I think American exceptionalism is a cool idea. I like the idea that we're such a big country and such a rich country that we can be like, hey, we're the good guys of the world. We know what we're doing. We can help you out. Your country needs like aid. We got you. Oh, we need to like bring peace to this region. We got you. I like the opportunity to be a role model and to do good things and to hold, to use like a monopoly of force to actually hold everyone accountable to like democracy. I think that's cool. So then everyone gets to say. And lots of countries aren't as good as that. But then to see something like healthcare or like education, and it's like, why are we doing this bad? Why are we so bad at this? We have no excuse for this. Like it's really it's cringe. It's cringe. America could have way better healthcare. There are countries where you don't have to pay out of pocket. I don't know. And that's the thing too. Like it's project management wise, like this is a solved problem. Other people solved it already. Copy their homework. We're allowed. Yeah. So I'm I don't know. I like uh game design. I like understanding the kind of social dynamics around like direct media or messaging and the kind of like psychological how we engage with those things. That fascinates me. That's why I love like tabletop RPGs. Because it's like storytelling and then it's also bringing a bunch of people together and seeing how the people interact and how they psychologically like process what the story is and what everyone else is saying and how they react to that and those kinds of dynamics. And I've also been like an internet girly my whole life. I don't know. I remember like Film Cow, you know? I remember Nyan Cat. I remember Annoying Orange and Epic Rap Battles of History. I love Neil Segura and Bo Burnham, and that was fun. And you know, I used to draw a little bit, and I used to see other people draw a little bit. I was on like Tumblr, you know, I've been on Reddit. Like it's been around. I'm just a nerdy girl, and I miss that world, you know. I saw firsthand it get corrupted by weird, creepy old boomers to try and revitalize like evangelical Christianity as the kind of fascist government body in charge of everything. I'm not saying all conservatives are fascists. They're not, and they definitely didn't used to be. And Trump, I don't think is. um, but like Stephen Miller, like this cringe lord. Why is he in charge of anything? Why is he in charge of everything? That's pathetic. Um, Gosh, the internet was good. The internet had so much potential. It was so cool. And I'm like, how did we, I don't know, we were all coming together. We had cool memes, we had cool stuff going on. And then I see it get corrupted into like, there's like, one in every 10,000 people is like just a weird, gross, lonely, hateful racist and anti Semite. And then like started getting everyone else to do that too. That's just bad. That's like just a waste of our time. We used to be cool. Um, Stephen Miller is like one of the most diehard kind of evangelical fascist Christian types in this whole thing. He's basically running the country right now. Epstein's friend still signs the papers, but he's not writing them. I try not to attribute to like malice what's attributable to incompetence. I think a lot of people are incompetent. I think a lot of people think they're doing a good thing. But yeah, I don't know. I like digital media. I like this space. I like this new media space. And I've seen so many people fumble the bag. The right successfully trying to do just bad things, and the left try to do sometimes good things, and then mess it up. Have we achieved the communist utopia yet? I don't care about anyone's early life. I care about what they're doing now. Stephen Miller was like literally paraphrasing Mustache Man talking points. Like it's fucking cringe. And politics is meant to be more than that. Do y'all know the statistics where like being a Democrat gets you laid? I love that. Like Democrats, look, growing up in the like late 90s and 2000s, Democrats were the party of like young people who had like music and TV and culture, and it's like do whatever you want, dye your hair blue. Does it look good? No, but you can, and that's the point. You can do whatever you want and then just chill. And I like that the internet was a space like by everyone for everyone. And multiculturalism is like by everyone for everyone. You like taco trucks? Me too. That's great. Like have everyone here. And to see now what we're seeing is the opposite. We're like, this is what happens when conservatives win. Everything is boring. They want to implement rigid beauty standards and just like be kind of awkward, unfunny bullies to anyone who's not like a church going white boy. And then like no one's having any fun. No one likes it. You're not succeeding. The economy's about to crash because of it. Who wins here? I don't like it. I don't like it. I can have highbrow, philosophical, political theory discussions on this stuff. Like I can go to like I like sometimes it's cool to talk to like Marxists or whatever about stuff. But then on the right, it's just this like I don't know. It's just like 10 steps to like still not get a girlfriend. That's all that politics is, and just ruin everything fun for everyone in the process. Like just let people chill out. Like this thing with communism is like that's like a language game because I love games and like philosophy and psychology. When people say communism, they mean so many different things. And I know when like younger lefties say it, what they mean is like a utopia where everyone can do whatever they want and like can afford to live and like do cool art or whatever. And that's awesome. And that's like healthcare. Like it's I think utopian, but good. No one should have a problem with that. But then conservatives hear that and they're thinking of like the crash out of the Soviet state. which hurt a lot of people because it got tied up in like old men's egos and business interests. And then they just like it's just, and it's like I've just stopped using words like leftism and communist and anarchist and socialist because we're not having a conversation there. We're like, no one's ever having a conversation there. I'd rather just talk about like, hey, what if we just had healthcare? I think I can get more people on board with just the contents instead of the labels. Yeah, and there's all these virtue signaling on both sides now. Like leftists love virtue signals. The right loves virtue signals. The right is virtue signaling so hard. To the point of like religious psychosis this week. Did you know that they say they say that the rapture is coming tomorrow because they're like misinterpreting a Jewish like ceremony thing they're doing in Israel tomorrow. Because they're just coping so hard with like the crash out that like oppressing all these people in the name of like bringing in Trump didn't work and has only made things worse, and now their neighbors are gone and they hate it and prices are still up. And instead of like process like maybe we messed up, they're like, oh, it's all good because the world is going to end and it doesn't matter anyway, and I'm still going to get rewarded for this. My heart breaks for a lot of people tomorrow. It's going to be bad. There may be some violence, which I do not endorse. I have it right here. Violence is bad. Some politicians do care about the people. Some politicians do care about the people. Not many, or certainly not only. I think things like passing the if you're in Congress, like you can't trade stocks, you can't bet on stocks. Like if we get rid of those other interests, the people who are in it just for the money will get bored and they will leave because it's just not a good way to get money. And that's the thing. Politicians aren't supposed to make a lot of money in the US, okay? Like even like the pay wage of like a president is, it's nice, but it's not like millionaire money. It's weird to have someone like Donald Trump even try. Like you're not supposed to be interested. Yeah, Palestinian people need help. But it's, I mean, and it's so like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of religious psychosis. There's a lot of purity testing. I think people who are like literally crying in tears at like AI generated Charlie Kirk. And the way that they're talking about Charlie Kirk is like they think he's just like some Christian guy. Like, I don't think they actually watched Charlie Kirk. I'm not saying he's like the worst fascist racist in the world, but he was just kind of said some racist stuff. He's just like a guy and he talked to college kids. Like he was not a Christian minister. I've heard people say he's like a Christian, like he's like a, I've heard people call him a prophet or like a pastor and a bunch of stuff like that. Like those people exist, and I'm not even necessarily condemning all of you. Like that's just, I don't think they know. I think they're just kind of riffing off of the details they have heard from a friend. And it's this weird right virtue signal to the point that they've been like literally going to Starbucks and freaking out and like trying to honor his memory. Every time that the Republicans have a culture war issue, they end up trying to make a thing at Starbucks. They end up trying to like take it out on Starbucks somehow. They did this with like the red coffee cups at Christmas because it just matches Starbucks' subtle design language, like in all their branding assets. And it was more inclusive than just Christmas. It was like more subtle and chill, and they could do it like for a longer window too. Because sometimes you don't stock the cups at the right time, and you want to make sure you get them in early, and you might keep using them after Christmas. Like it was just several practical reasons. And they're like, how dare there be a war on Christmas? We gotta throw a fit at Starbucks. And now the Charlie Kirk thing, they're throwing a fit at Starbucks. People keep throwing a fit at Starbucks. I think because in their mental image, Starbucks is just like where all the blue-haired liberals are, but they don't realize like no one's a diehard fan of Starbucks. No one cares. Like, are you good? And that's like what a right-wing virtue signal looks like. And it's like, I don't know, like, look, if you like Charlie Kirk, that's okay. If you're sad and scared, that's okay. I think everyone should be sad and scared because it's a bad precedent for free speech. And murder is bad. But what are people on? Yeah, like it's just I know like lots of Christian people like actually like who are not just doing it for clout this week because they saw it on Fox News and they want to be a part of something. Lots of people who are like actually just like kind of dorky, but like are Christians, have gotten the heebie-jeebies this week. And like there's just full-on religious psychosis, which they have still been in since the Charlie Kirk thing, and now they see this like Israel's doing a thing like kind of, it seems pretty routine, like slaughtering some cattle, and then like the evangelical Christians who haven't read the Bible, who don't know anything about Judaism, like they're a different thing, didn't even like really see, but they're just like, cool, you know, it's the end times. And these people are crashing out, but they're just like cloaking it in virtue signals. Have a good night, Nil Dragon. But yeah, I don't know. I try to have a lot of sympathy these days. So I'm sorry. I just kind of keep talking about stuff. I did, however, make a T-shirt. If you want to support me, you can go to shesrightshow.com. There, you can see it in the frame. Because I have a design background, I've made some fun merch about stuff, and I'm gonna keep doing that because I think it's like fun and fulfilling. And I made a shirt that says, "I survived the rapture, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt," and I think that's fun. So, if anyone wants that, that's a thing. I made them like $20. I tried to make them as cheap as I could, while still having like, you know, I don't ruin myself and go into debt. But hey, Anthony, are you okay? Like, this is at the level of a hyperfixation. I don't really know why you're doing this. And just like, humanity check. Are you good? Like, is this like a cry for help? Because if you're trying to like be funny, it's not working. If you're trying to be anti-Semitic, like, it's not. No one likes that. I like Starbucks sometimes. I'll go to Starbucks and like get a drink, but I'm not like, oh, you mess with Starbucks. That's our sacred temple. Like, it's a business. What about the animals? Oh, like the cattle they got like slaughtered as part of the thing. Yeah, that sucks. I think those cows have feelings, but I don't think you or I in good faith would really be like, I don't know, are you like a vegan? Like, how hard are you committed to that? Have you advocated against the similar slaughter of all livestock everywhere? Because like, it's probably not a good faith consideration. Because if that was something you really cared about, you probably would have been complaining about it more broadly. But yeah. So I don't know. I might get off here soon. Oh, 10:53. I'll go like another 5 minutes. Talk about stuff. I'm sorry, I don't stream more regularly. I should get a schedule or something. But yeah. Boba replaced Starbucks. I love boba. I love boba. I mean, I personally like fruit teas more than milk teas, but it's fun. And that's what I believe. I identify as a liberal because I'm a nerd and I keep seeing studies and data that are like, hey, these are the policies that helps everybody. Like, if there's a small tax on like driving your car in New York City, it gets rid of all the shitty traffic, and then the air is better, and then like it makes a bunch of annoying people leave, and then everyone can kind of still get around anyway. I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. Real politics is usually like pretty boring. Thanks, KC64. Have a good night too. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I might just kind of wrap up here. Thanks, DM. Yeah, I don't know. I think we can have normal good things from normal good people. Don't listen to grifters who like make anything seem like an epic battle of good and evil. If they do, they're either lying to you, or worse, they believe it. In which case, maybe they should get diagnosed with something. Like that's really what it is. It's supposed to be a job. Have a good night.